the surrounding. Bright lights sparkle in the night. Move so fast it's hypnotizing. Take my hand and guide me home. Break of day's almost calling. See the sunlight up ahead. All the stars are slowly falling. Take my hand and guide me home. But she said, trust me, these are the stories we will tell. As I stood frozen, infinite, I almost fell. But I got a feeling and my heart starts beating, a sudden rush of feeling alive. This is freedom and I won't change, I won't phase out.
All right, let's get this show started. The Chillest podcast, episode 21. Guys, welcome to the show. We're actually missing a member right now, by the way. Daikon. He's not official Daikon. He's Daikon now. He's actually dealing with a real life event, so you'll notice he is missing right now, but he will join us later when he gets here. But otherwise, welcome to episode 21 of the Chillest podcast. This is our gaming 2017 in review and upcoming in 2018. So if you guys don't know, this is a monthly podcast. It happens about once a month. We did take a break last month in December due to the holidays, but we're back at it with January's episode, and we are going to basically summarize our gaming and what that was like last year and what we look forward to this year in 2018. So if you guys don't know who we are the Chillest. The Chillest is a team that focuses on, sorry, my glasses are fogging up, that focuses on positivity, viewer interaction, high quality content, and just having welcoming and awesome communities. So we're not the only members on the team. If you want to follow everybody, that's super, super appreciated. There's 18 of us total currently, and we range from variety to creative to speedrunning to Final Fantasy 14, just all sorts of stuff. So if you like any of that, please do check all of us out on the team. That said, without further ado, we are going to go through and give a round of self-introductions here, in case you guys don't know who some of us are. And we're going to go clockwise. I don't know if you guys have the page up.
So Peebo's next.
Well, yeah, I haven't done it yet, but we'll go with Rom, actually.
I don't want to go first. I'll totally go first. Hey, I'm Rom, variety caster. Sec. I'm getting some echo. It's fine. I play a variety of games. Anything from A to Z. I've played so many games this year, so I'm really excited for this podcast today because I went through and it took me like 2 hours to like go through all the games I played this year. Yep. And I didn't beat a lot of them this year, which was my downfall, but I played a lot of games and I know what I like this year. So I got that going for me, which is nice. So hey, I play a little bit of everything. So I'm totally excited for this podcast. And I'll throw it over to, on my screen, it would be Pistachio.
Hi, I'm Pistachio. I'm a variety caster as well. I play all kinds of stuff, a mixture of Nintendo through to JRPGs, which is my favorite genre. So I tend to always be at least playing one JRPG at a time, as well as things like Overwatch, a whole mixture of stuff. I really like tea. I'm from England. So if you're into that kind of snazzy stuff, then come on over.
And then we'll just do Bog next and then me last.
All right. My name is Richie, a.k.a. Bog Otter. I'm also a variety caster, streaming full-time on Twitch. I'm known best for playing the MMO Guild Wars 2, but I do mix it up with a whole bunch of stuff. I played over 50 games on stream last year. I like action, adventure, RPGs, anything fantasy, anything with a wizard in it, anything with a big honking sword in it, I'm all for it. So, yeah, and I'm probably best known for singing horribly, doing really bad accents, and horrible dad jokes.
Yeah, we all like dad jokes.
We all seem to be wearing glasses today. I didn't know if that was a requirement for this particular
This
So
is the
when Daikon-
intelligent podcast, okay?
It is.
When Daikon shows up, we just gotta like kick him out until he puts the glasses on.
That's right.
And then lastly, I am Snowlit. I am the founder and leader of the Chillest. And I'm a variety caster. I do mostly action adventure RPGs and anything that's story driven. I'm currently working on a lot of stuff, in particular Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Final Fantasy 15, and the Uncharted series. So a lot of really good stuff recently. And I like winter. That's kind of my whole branding. I like cold weather. And I also like turtles and my cat. So that summarizes it. Like I said, we are still missing one person. Daikon will be joining us afterward. He has some car stuff he had to deal with, but he will be late to the show. And when he arrives, we'll do an introduction for him and then have him ease into the conversation wherever we are with that. So that said, so this is a very, so like I said, this is episode 21. It's called Our Gaming 2017 in Review and upcoming in 2018. Those of you out there listening and watching, you are more than welcome to join the discussions, contribute your thoughts as we discuss things like that. If there's any questions you want to pitch to everybody on the show, make sure you tag me at Snowlit or Snow or Snowy or something so I can see it. And if it's a question I feel that everybody would, I want to hear their answers to, then I'll pitch it to everybody. But that said, please don't hesitate to chip in, give us your opinions, etc. Be respectful, though. I will say that. And otherwise, this is going to be a very casual, very non-structured podcast compared to previous shows. Normally, I do bring up a list of questions, but this time around, we're going to let everybody just kind of, take it easy, casually go through with it. And you guys are going to guide the conversations because I feel like with something like this, it's easier just to do that. But so, I'll start it out. 2017, we just wrapped that year up. You guys played a bunch of games. I want to know everybody's favorite or best game, like the highlight of their year. Whether you played it on stream or not.
Ooh, that'd be interesting if your favorite game was actually something you didn't play on stream.
It feels like withholding.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like your secret guilty pleasure.
Never told anyone about it.
I can jump in right away because I know what mine is. Not only has it been my favorite game of 2017, but it's in my top 4 games of all time now, which is really surprising for someone who has never played a Zelda game before, wasn't particularly interested in the series. I always thought it was good, but yeah, it's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And for me, I wasn't hyped for this game pretty much at all. It was something new that was coming out and it looked... my boyfriend was like, oh, maybe you should check it out. And it's like, oh, yeah, whatever, I might as well. It looks kind of interesting. And even in the first few hours, I wouldn't say I disliked it or anything. It was good. I just wasn't crazy about it. I was like, yeah, this is a good game. I don't know. But the longer and longer and longer I've played it, and I'm at something like 200 hours now or something ridiculous, I just like it more and more each time. It's just gotten to the point of crazy how much I enjoy this game. And the thing is, 2017 was a tough year. There are so many games that I really, really enjoyed. And as we've been talking about this on my channel, it's funny because it's like we're getting into the minutiae of detail about what makes something better than another thing because, there's a lot of competition. But for me, Breath of the Wild had the best balance. Before I rant about it some more, I'll let you guys say what you think.
Did you guys play Breath of the Wild, Rom and Bog?
I was gonna say because I have a funny, and that's not a funny, but I have an interesting history with Breath of the Wild. Excuse me. I played it when it first launched. I bought a Switch for it day one. I'm like, I want this game. I need it. I'm a huge fan of the 2Ds. 3Ds for me have never really done it before. I just I don't know, nostalgia, old school. That's what I liked. But so I'm like, I'm gonna give this a chance. And I read all the reviews beforehand, which was a big mistake because all I saw was 10 out of 10, best game. You got to play it. So when I played it and then I see all these things that I didn't like about the game, I immediately shut the game out. And I didn't like it right away because I didn't like the menu system. I didn't like that you had to the run and jump is on opposite sides of the controller, which is weird. And constantly going through menus and everyone's like, it's better. And I didn't appreciate it for what it was right away. And then I got sick last week.
Oh, I'm sorry. Banana phone. Sorry about that.
It's all good. I got sick last week and I didn't stream for 5 days and I sat on the couch and I played Breath of the Wild and I'm like, I finally get it. I took the time, I wasn't streaming it. And it was kind of my secret favorite game for a while that I didn't stream because I sat down and I took the time and I didn't have any pressure and I took the time to explore everything else. I'm like, I did not give this game credit when I played it. And I talked a lot of smack about it, which was unfair. But I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild this year. I don't think it's my game of the year. I think that holds up to something else. But Breath of the Wild was pretty good.
See, I have yet to play it, but I got a Switch, this past holiday season, thanks to my community. And I plan to get it, and that's the first game I actually want to stream. But I'm just wondering, with hearing all of this hype, whether I'm going to be disappointed, like if it's too overhyped. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what to expect. What about you, Bug?
Oh, I definitely want to play it. I don't have a Switch yet, but that's definitely on my list of, when I ever get one, that's definitely going to be something I stream. I'm definitely excited about it. I've heard great things. Like I said, I don't know. I would try to just jump into it and I try not to listen to lots of other things, and I try not to read reviews. I don't even watch trailers for games a lot of times. So I really go in not having any expectations, and a lot of times I like being pleasantly surprised as a result of that. But yeah, I would definitely want to play that at some point.
I think that's a really, really good attitude to have, because I've definitely had that with lots of media, like movies and stuff. If someone tells you how amazing it is and you go and see it and you're like, it wasn't that great. But yeah, if you just go into it as a fresh experience, I do try to not watch too many trailers and things like that. It definitely elevates your expectation and it doesn't matter how good it is, it's just not going to live up to it, really.
Yeah. If it's something that I know that I'm interested in, whether it's a movie or a video game, I don't watch the trailer. If it's something I've never heard of before, then I kind of let the trailer do its job, try to get me interested in it. But for something like Legend of Zelda, I'm like, all right, that's the game. It's on my list for someday. I want to play that. I'm not going to watch anything. So I just avoid it.
Yeah, I usually do that too. But it was I had to watch some things because I had to justify the purchase of a Switch right away. Just because that's the only thing, at the time that console's kind of good for.
Yeah.
So I was like, is it worth it? I got to look some stuff up. And then to my own dismay, I did the thing that you guys do too. I read the reviews and it ruined me.
We've all done it.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I look forward to it. For me,
oh yeah, it's gonna be great. You're gonna have a great time.
Yeah, well, for me, my game of the year was Horizon. I mean, I know we're not necessarily saying this is our game of the year, but for me, that was my highlight because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was just Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't know. It was quite new in terms of how it approached the post-apocalyptic world, in my opinion.
Yes.
In a video game, and has everybody here played it?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it was really good. I mean, I personally really enjoyed it. Well, for one, the graphics in the world, amazingly well done. And for me, my favorite part was actually the combat, the gameplay mechanics. It was very versatile. It kept you on the edge of your feet, or edge of your seat, not your feet. And it really, up to that point. I mean, I haven't played a ton of games, but I've played, I guess, up enough RPGs to kind of know generally what to expect. And I really felt it brought something new for me, for my experiences to the table. But especially because in combat, you're doing things mid-combat. You're changing the flow of things. You're changing weapons. You're changing your strategy. It's completely adrenaline pumping. I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but
I think that the combat is for sure the highlight of Horizon. I have I was pretty harsh on Horizon, and I still stand by a lot of what I said about it. I had major gripes with it, that it felt really gamey. And what I meant by gamey was it just does things the way games do them. You kill animals to get items to expand your inventory. And once I realized that, because I hadn't been killing the animals, and then it just, I don't know, it just felt so we put this in because this is something you do in a game. The climbing mechanics, if any of you have played Tomb Raider, I've played Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah. That's
an action game where things are happening, and then what you do will affect if you're going to fall, or if you're going to avoid something that's dropping, or some rocks. Whereas with Horizon, it was literally I was just holding forward and X, and it didn't matter what I was doing. There was nothing to avoid. In fairness to it, though, its strong points are definitely like you mentioned, its art style, the whole futuristic thing. Starlet, who's on our team, the Chillest, actually recently has been streaming it as well, and I caught a bit of her playing it, and it did make me think maybe I was a bit harsh on this game. Watching her play it, I could really see there's a lot of good things about it. The graphics are mind blowing; they're insanely good.
Right.
And the story's pretty good in parts as well. Like, for me, it's not massively my taste. It's very Hollywood, but it is good, and it does what it does pretty well. And kind of as I mentioned with 2017 being such a good year, even though I'm being kind of harsh on it, I still think it's like an 8 out of 10 or something. So it is a really strong game. Just for me, out of the games I played last year, it was quite a low one. That's all.
Yeah, I would think Horizon Zero Dawn is probably my second favorite game of the year. I actually thought the story was quite good. That was the part that really kept me interested in it, because once you start kind of and I don't want to spoil anything, but once you start on like unraveling some of the history of like what's going on, that I was getting chills at certain points. You know, I fortunately played it unspoiled, and yeah, there was a lot of these aha moments at certain points. And I love the Tomb Raider games, and as well. And so I had a lot of similar experiences. You know, it felt like a mix between Witcher 3 and Tomb Raider type gameplay. But I do agree with what Peebo said in that. I even told my stream this, like, you literally, you know, climbing, you look like you're doing you're amazing at this game, right? You're like, oh, look how good Bog is at this game. He's just climbing these cliffs like they're nothing, but really you're just holding forward and you go up them. So it makes you look better than you are. And I also agree with Snowy that the combat was pretty awesome. The weapons, really different than a lot of other games that you get, right? It's not like sword, gun, you know, and bow. These are like you're setting up traps, you're setting up tripwires, you're, like Snowlit said, you're changing things on the fly. And then the enemies have weak points and things you can rip off of them, and then you can, you know, rip a big gun off of a big, enemy, and then pick up that gun and shoot them with it. You know, lots of fun stuff with that. So overall, that game is amazing. I loved it.
You got anything to add?
I didn't beat the game, but I completely agree with everyone said so far. I didn't finish it because I got to go back to it. Maybe it's just like Breath of the Wild for me. There was a lot of like open world games that came around that time, and I was kind of getting oversaturated with that feeling of you can do everything and anything. And Horizon Zero Dawn, like Peebo said, with like the hunting, I felt like I had to do all of the stuff all of the time. And there was like, it was like mechanics oversaturation of like too many things to do. And like, I don't know what to do. Should I go kill this thing? Should I go do this? And I was just like, I just want to play the story. That's all I want to do. And I get distracted too much. And like, that's a benefit of the game. But for me, it was just like too much of a good thing almost.
Yep.
Which it sounds wrong, but I liked the game for what it was. The combat was so good. Just, the
weapon where you pin them down is like definitely the highlight. That's just crazy cool to see that happening.
You just see this monstrosity and you're like, what am I going to use? Okay, I have this, and this. How am I going to take it down? And then like, it doesn't work. Come back at it again at a different angle. And you're like, that was really neat. All right.
So something interesting brought up though. I wanted to ask about, you guys said, especially with the climbing, it was just hold forward or hold up on the stick. Do you guys like games where it makes you kind of work through every element? Like you have to put in effort versus being handheld to certain degrees like that, or?
For me, it wasn't the fact that like, I'm not having to put in effort. It's more that from a game design perspective, I just felt it didn't have purpose, if that makes sense. It just kind of felt like, well, we've made this big world. You should probably be able to climb stuff. I mean, and I think for me, especially because I think it came out around the same time as Zelda, and I was playing both at the same time. And in Zelda, when you get your glider and you're just jumping off and just engaging with the world feels so purposeful. There's just something around every corner that feels like you're meant to be there. Whereas with Horizon, I almost can't describe just the feeling I had of just flatness, of just, it didn't seem to have a purpose. That's all. So it's not necessarily that I think games need really complex mechanics. I mean, admittedly, I'm just not someone who's probably massively into overdone mechanics and stuff, which is probably why I was a little harsh on it, because I'm not massively into combat and stuff. Like, fancy combat's awesome, but it's just not my kind of thing. I just feel like it needs a reason to be there and something is adding to it. That's all.
I think it's fun. I actually think the way that they did the climbing, I made the joke that it makes me look good. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun that you can just climb anything and it's pretty effortless. I would rather that than them come up with some, every time you wanted to climb a mountain, there's some, quick time event that you have to hit the right buttons in order to do. I think that's kind of unnecessary. But I do agree that maybe sometimes in some of the more ridiculous climbs, there was, some point of failure, right? That if you miss something, sometimes it's dangerous, because you never felt like you were in danger while you're doing any of this like unbelievable climbing. So, but yeah, I thought it was fun.
Maybe I don't remember, but if you got like hit while you were climbing, did you fall off? Because I don't recall. Is that how it
I think you
worked?
could, right?
Yeah, because glint hawks suck. Those are the worst things ever.
Those are the most annoying. Oh my
I
gosh.
hate those bird things. The worst. But yeah, I think you could fall if they were like shooting the crap down at you while you're climbing and stuff like that.
Did you guys play the DLC as well, the Frozen Wilds?
Yeah.
No.
I did.
What did you think of it, Bog? Did you
Not
you
as
feel like
good as
it
the
added
core
to the
game.
story?
Yeah. I mean, it was good to be back. You know, you have that feel like, oh, okay, I wanted to go back. I'd already I got my platinum trophy and did everything I could. And then it was fun to like have something else to stick my teeth into. Like, to me, like, I love playing the game, but it's for me, it's the story. I want more of those. What happened in the history? What happened in the old world, and all that kind of stuff. And they get a little bit of that, and it seemed to be almost more teasing than actually getting a lot of stuff. But I will say that one of the strengths of the game is the NPC personalities that you interact with. More so to me than Aloy herself. The NPCs, like, they steal the show, and I think the DLC introduced a couple other characters that were like hilarious to interact with. So what about you? Did you enjoy the DLC?
I was the same way, like going back to it, because I did the same thing. I got the platinum trophy. I 100%ed it back in like May, and then the DLC came out in like November, and then I went back to it. And it was nice to, I don't know if it was just me, but when I came back to it, I was like, did the graphics get better? Like, I don't know if it was just one of those, like, you can't remember just how good it was. I don't know if that was just me though. But because I have terrible memory anyway. But I agree. A lot of the NPC characters were more fleshed out than Aloy herself. A lot of people, I think, criticize Aloy because she seemed very stoic, very like way too serious. You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And but I agree with that. And I think the DLC was nice because, for one, it was snowy, and guess what? I'm snowless, so I really enjoyed the environment for that alone. And it's impressive because they grinded that DLC out within like half a year, right? They weren't planning on releasing a DLC, but because of the reception, they were like, we're going to do it. And then they did it within the same year that they released. And that's impressive, in my opinion. But I definitely enjoyed it. And I can see the criticisms, though, like that you guys point out. And I do agree that, it's a little, some things could have probably been done better or but overall it's still my favorite of the year. So
one of the I was just going to say, one of the most interesting things is it's Guerrilla Games, isn't it, the engine they've used, and I know it's what Hideo Kojima is going to be using for Death Stranding, and I think that engine looks really interesting. I'm kind of interested to see what happens going forward with that as well.
I didn't know that.
What is the engine exactly? Does anybody know? Really? No.
I wish I knew more about the technical side of it. I just know that Kojima's working with them with their engine, so it'll be the same one they used on Horizon, I assume.
That's actually exciting. I'm excited to talk about what we're looking forward to this year too. But any other, I guess, thoughts about Horizon, or your own favorite game of the year? Bob, you mentioned that was your second favorite. What's your first favorite?
Surprisingly, this is very, very surprising to me. I'll explain why. But PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is my game of the year, and it's I looked at Steam the other day. I have 300 hours in this game already, and like I can't believe it because I am not a big FPS guy. I'm not somebody who likes modern warfare at all. Like, I love suits of armor and swords and spells. I'm a fantasy guy, and so like it blows my mind that this game has sucked up so much of my time. It's my obsession, and it's I don't know if I assume most people know PUBG is. It's a battle royale game. 100 players drop into a map. You have to scramble and get loot as quickly as possible, and it's last man or last woman or last team standing gets their chicken dinner, they call it. And it's a huge map, and everybody's on the even playing field, right? Nobody has better skill trees or levels or anything like that, and you're started on even playing field. But it's a very difficult game. It's a very punishing game. It's hard to learn, but there's no game out there for me that gets my blood pumping like that. Like every single game is intense, and it's different every time because you're dropping in different areas of the map, you're facing different people, and you're getting different loot. And when you finally, make it to the top 20 or the top 10 for the first time, or if you were able to get that elusive chicken dinner, which I've only gotten maybe like 7 or 8 times in those 300 hours, it's an unbelievable feeling. It's, I raid in MMOs to get that feeling of we've worked on a boss together with this team for weeks, and we finally get that boss down for the first time, and you've got that adrenaline rush and that feeling of yes, and that can happen once in a while with some other games. You beat a difficult boss in Dark Souls, you beat a different, you win a match or get play of the game in Overwatch or whatever, you get that little like boost, right? But PUBG, I can get it every single game, even in small little bursts, and I don't know, it's a very intense experience, and I can't get enough of it. It's my go-to game. I played it a lot on stream, but that's my go-to game at night when I'm not streaming as well. It's just, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I don't know.
Have you guys played PUBG, Peebo and Rom?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No.
I'm the same, about like close to 300 hours as well.
I have to admit, I wouldn't say like I don't get it, because I watch other people play it and I enjoy it, but I don't know. It's interesting to hear like your perspective on it and stuff, because I guess I've not really spoke to anyone, and heard what they think about it. So it's interesting to hear what makes it good.
It's funny. There's a ton of people that watch, my stream who said to me, like, I've never would have considered this game until you were playing it, and now we've got a whole bunch of otters in the Ottoman Empire who are playing it and addicted to it, and they all say the same thing. Like, it's not my typical kind of game, but I don't know, it sucks you in. Mm-hmm. And you brought up a good point, Pio. It is really fun to watch. I don't watch too many streams, but when I do, it's usually PUBG, because you just don't know what's going to happen. It's like not every day, like somebody flies over a cliff in a motorcycle, drops onto a roof, throws a grenade in, and people, burst out of the windows. You're like, how did they do that? I've never seen that before. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's a surprising game. It's a surprising game to me.
See, I've never played a I guess battle royale type game like that before. So I guess I'm also like people. I mean, like when I watch people stream it, I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. But then I don't have that like, oh, I really want to play this, itch either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just, it's one of those games that, you prefer to watch versus playing, right? Mm-hmm. So, but that's really cool.
I know there was loads of comparisons to Fortnite. I'm wondering if any of you played that.
I've played.
Yeah.
How did you think it was compared to it?
I haven't played the Battle Royale mode in Fortnite. I've watched my son play it. It to me, it's like, why would I want to spend time on this Battle Royale game when I can't get enough of this other Battle Royale game? And I'm not big into the build walls in the middle of, I don't want to build a fort or knock down other people's forts to, in the game. So it's just not so much me, but I will give them huge props for spinning around their game, because they released their single player, their co-op game, which is supposed to be totally different. And when they saw a Battle Royale exploding, they quickly retooled, and now they're one of the most popular games. It was
so surprising how fast that came out. Like, after, I played that single player game, I'm like, that was good. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, Battle Royale is out, and it's free. And everyone's like, what? I mean, you got to check it out then. It was, both games were surprising.
PUBG costs money, right? To a one-time buy?
$30.
$30? Okay.
Yeah.
I wondered. Because I remember there was the whole fiasco about PUBG being like, no, you can't do a battle royale game, Fortnite. We're gonna poop on you, or something. Didn't they do something like that? Where they were trying to claim the battle royale genre.
I don't know if they literally pooped, but
it's a figure of speech.
PUBG is not the first battle royale game, so they can't claim battle royale. Right. But the issue is, and it is a little bit sticky, is Fortnite's made by Epic Games, right? And PUBG's built on their engine. So there is a little bit of a conflict of interest there. So that, and I think some of the concern was, well, they're making a competitive game now. What if they come up with optimizations for their engine, to support this type of experience, and they don't necessarily pass it out to the people that use their engine? We don't know if any of these things happen, but I think that was the concern. Not exactly that they're doing a battle royale game, but it's like, these are the developers of the engine that we developed their game on. And they also, I think, did a little bit of promotion of their game using kind of PUBG. It's kind of like PUBG with building and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It was a little weird. I don't think they crossed any lines, but definitely gray area. So I think that's what the issue was.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't actually read up on it, but I just remember seeing that on Twitter, and since I don't play either game, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I was curious, since you guys do play and have played both, and I was just curious about that whole thing. But that's cool to know, though.
That's it. Chillest PUBG night. Make it.
I know. Maybe I'll enjoy it if we like play together or something. Because they
that's not a bad idea.
They have like squad mode, right? You can play with people.
I'd let you carry a Snow anytime.
Yeah, you can play in a group of 4. Yep.
Really good stuff. Anyone else about their favorites of the year? We're gonna go and do the other end. If you hear my cat, by the way, I'm so sorry. She is playing with her toy and meowing. But anyway,
that's a happy cat.
She is happy. That said, we're gonna cover the other side. Games you didn't like in 2017 that you tried and played, either on or off stream. But any other, I guess, honorable mentions for your 2017?
Like the standout for me, I knew this game was going to be good, but I didn't think I was going to get like the chills or like that endorphin rush for more than like 5 minutes. And that game was Cuphead. Cuphead, to me, you didn't hear anything about this game. And I was kind of nervous, but I thought it was going to be pretty good. But I didn't know how good that game was going to be, from like the animation style of it, like the hand-drawn, like incredible detail in that game. Every time you would die, it didn't matter because you got to see something different and new about it. The music was outstanding. Just everything about that just hit it. The only bad thing about that game I didn't like was the run and gun, like side-scrolling sequence to the game, which was fine. And I found out, that I think the publisher said, you need this in the game. And they're like, no, we just want bosses. And they're like, no, you got to add it in. So you can kind of bypass that too, but you didn't have to. But Cuphead was so incredibly shocking to me, even though that I knew what the game was. But it was just ear to ear grin, smile the entire game. Even if I died to a boss a bunch of times, it didn't matter because I was super excited every single time to keep playing it.
No, I agree. It didn't have like any publicity, did it, beforehand? Like there wasn't any crazy hyping and marketing about it or anything, right?
I remember seeing it, the trailer for it at E3.
It was like a minute long only too. It was super short.
But being old and remembering cartoons and stuff like that my dad used to watch, like Steamboat Willie and stuff, I immediately was attracted to that art style. I love that game as well. I love torturing myself and trying, and like I like having to do something over and over and over until you master it. Mm-hmm. And you definitely get a lot of satisfaction from Cuphead. And like Ram said, the gameplay was amazing, the art style was amazing, and the sound and design and the music was amazing. So overall, it was a great game.
Yeah, I played it too, but I sadly never finished it. Did you guys beat it? Both of you?
Yeah.
Almost beat it. I was co-oping it with Azaria.
Yeah, I think I got to World 3, but I didn't beat it, sadly. I haven't finished it yet, but no, I agree. It was I hadn't played a game like that before. I've done platformers on stream. Like I did the Crash Bandicoot remix, I did Ori and the Blind Forest, I've done Salt and Sanctuary. I've done platforming type games on stream. And Cuphead was definitely quite different. And a good kind of different. It was I love the art style. I really love the art style and the music. The music was great. You could buy the soundtrack separately too, actually, if you didn't know that.
The LP looks so cool.
I love them just going right to the boss fights too. It's not like they just threw in a whole bunch of levels just to throw in a whole bunch of levels.
Yeah, filler. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Just get right to what we want.
Did you play it by any chance, Pivo?
I haven't played it, no. I mean, I've seen a lot of footage of it, and obviously it won, was it Best Art at the Game Awards or something, which was definitely deserved because it looks insanely good. They've done a crazy good job on the art style and the animation of it and everything, but I'm really bad at platformers, so yeah, I don't know. That's the reason I haven't played it, but I would be interested in giving it a go, but I just have to prepare myself mentally for serious failure.
I had a question, Bog. Like, how did you play it single player and both co-op? And if so, how did those how did those different, or how was the experience on both ends? Because it seemed pretty neat from the co-op experience that they added it.
Co-op is really fun. I actually only played it co-op. I played a little bit of co-op offline with my son, and I played it with my girlfriend a whole bunch on stream. And yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe, is it easier solo? I think it might. Like on the one hand, when you're playing it co-op, you've got a little bit of fault tolerance, because if you die by a mechanic, your ally can they can rescue you before you're completely off the screen, and then you get to come back. However, there's so much screen noise when you have two people shooting multiple different types of weapons that, like, it's hard. I think it's easier to lose track of where you are, and they also pump up the boss's health a whole bunch. So I don't know if it's actually easier co-op or not.
I think it's easier to be single. I mean, solo player, not single.
I suppose that makes sense. You have two people doing like.
What are you trying to tell us?
No. That's not what I meant. But no, like I did the co-op as well with my boyfriend, with Diz. Yeah. We were just doing it. I think it was just randomly for fun on stream, and he sat beside me and we played it. And I agree with Bog. Like there's already so much going on the screen, and then you have to worry about your partner who's may or may not be dying in the corner somewhere, and you can't reach them, and it adds a bit of stress to an already stressful game. Right.
And Golomancy in chat is bringing this up. When when your partner parries an attack, right, there's that brief pause, right? You're like, and then like it pauses for your partner too. So like you're not ready for them to parry. You're like, it messes you up. So yeah, it can be a little difficult, but it's a super fun co-op game. Unfortunately, they still don't have online co-op for that, right?
No, it's local only.
Still just local, yeah. Because that's something they need for that game.
Kind of nice to see something with local co-op, though. I feel like that's a bit of a dying thing at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other honorable mentions for your 2017 before we go to the what I didn't like last year category?
I have too many games to tell you, man. I don't know.
Go for it. We have plenty of time. Go for it.
How can I pick? You have to give a big shout out to Persona 5. Not even if, like, I did have some issues with it. Overall, I preferred Persona 4, which I also finished at the beginning of this year. But for bringing JRPGs back in such style, especially I think after so many years of just having, it feels cruel to say like bad JRPGs, but we just didn't have anything excellent or anything that's like, oh yeah, that was amazing. Whereas with Persona 5, it's like, they clearly did a fantastic job on it. The art style's amazing, just bringing in some of the elements from SMT just to make it a bit more fresh. The story's pretty good. The characters are pretty well fleshed out. I don't know. It's just a fantastic game. And as well, one of the more minor points, I suppose, that I really enjoyed, for me as someone who's played a lot of JRPGs, it was all fine, but I like that they almost kind of explained everything a little more clear, especially compared to Persona 4, since I played both in quite a small space of time. 4 can throw you in a little bit and just be like, now here's everything you have to do. We're not going to tell you that again. Whereas 5 is quite paced, explaining all the mechanics to you and helping you understand how it all works. And it was awesome to see the amount of people who I wouldn't have thought usually would play a game like that actually pick it up and get interested in that genre of games. So yeah, and the music as well, I have to give a shout out to. It has a fantastic soundtrack, but all the Persona games do. So I do have to give a shout out to that one.
Yeah, no, I'm in that category of people that wouldn't have played Persona until Persona 5. Because I haven't played any Persona games up until 5 came out. And people were like, you should play it. It's great. And I was like, well, we'll give it a shot. And I actually really, really enjoyed it too. I'm still working on it. I haven't finished it because I'm great at, I have gamer's ADD. But even still, like, what I've played so far, the soundtrack's amazing. I've been really enjoying, I haven't played turn-based stuff in a long time, like turn-based combat style games. And so coming back to, like, the last time I played one was probably Final Fantasy 10 maybe, I think, way back when. And so to me, I thought maybe I wasn't interested in turn-based combat anymore, but it actually was, it made it really fun. Like, Persona did a really good job, in my opinion. Sorry, cat.
Yeah, the art style definitely helped out with that. Like the transitions, how everything works, it just makes it way more of a visceral, like action-paced experience than just press X, swipe, It was like everything's flying off the screen and there's all these awesome transitions. I'm currently playing through it right now, and I gotta say, Peebo, I'm glad to hear you say like a lot of things you said. But some of the things you liked also are my big downfalls of the game. is how redundant it can be sometimes. Like 20 hours in to beat like the first palace that took me, because, you know, streaming, talking, whatever. But it just, sometimes every time a new character comes in, we got to be redundant and tell them the story. And I understand that in the mechanics, but sometimes it's like, just get on with it. I already know what's happening. I don't need to like rehash all of this stuff again.
From my perspective, it was a similar thing. Like, I know how it all works, and that's fine. Like I said before, I was aware it was throwing me in the deep end, but I was kind of okay with it because I did understand it the first time. I could just imagine from someone, because that's the thing. Like, as Snowy said, a lot of people have been feeling the whole, I don't like turn-based anymore. And it's been an eye-opener for me as well, because like I said, I'm into JRPGs, all my friends are. And then I've kind of met a whole bunch of people who it was really fascinating watch them basically play their first turn-based game and how they just didn't know how any of it works. Or, I mean, I've like people who just don't understand like element systems and things like that. So in that sense, I think it's good to kind of be a bit more hand-holdy, and I can see why they did that. And it probably helped it, you know, be more successful. But I do totally get where you're coming from. Yeah, I mean, if you know what you're doing, it can be a bit frustrating for sure. I was going to mention something else about it as well. Yeah, I mean, I do have gripes with the game, if I give a quick mention of that. I mean, the reason I preferred Persona 4 was, and it's funny because I know some people, it's the reason they like 5 more, is Persona 4, I felt like you were watching a group of friends do something and come together, and oh man, I just love the characters so much. Whereas 5, I think it's playing along with the whole thief theme. It's very like, they're all connected to the main character, but I never really got that sense of these people are like a group of friends and, you know, they really feel for each other or anything like that. It never really reached that same level as 4 did for me. So that was kind of the major downside for me. I mean, again, like I said, it was still an amazing game, and I'm getting into the minutia of detail. And compared to 4, like, the dungeons are insanely so much better because the dungeons just sucked in Persona 4. But I guess it just depends which is the more important point to you as well, like which will bother you more, or which aspect did you enjoy the most?
I think the most important question about this is Teddy or Morgana?
I don't know how I feel about Teddy. I have like, yeah.
That's what I hear from a lot of people.
I don't know. It's just the weirdest character. I can't say much without being too spoilery as well. But yeah, I mean, I honestly I don't really know. I don't even know if I like him or dislike him. I'm just very confused.
I didn't play Persona.
You should fix that.
But I do love turn-based combat.
You should give it a shot. It's
You
like
should try it.
as somebody who was brand new to Persona, I was quite pleasantly surprised with Persona 5.
The other thing that was weirdly kind of sad, but also I'm glad to see it being said. I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure somebody else will know better, but I think they won an award, didn't they, at some game award thing? And one of the devs for the game, or one of the creators, said something along the lines of, we're really happy to see that people still like turn-based games. And it kind of made me a little sad. Like, it is the general mood that people, you know, there was this question around it. And obviously even things like Final Fantasy were like moving quite radically away from the whole turn-based thing, because they were, you know, those devs were saying, well, people don't like turn-based anymore. We can't do it. You know, this is not what people want. And then to see Atlas doing it and doing it so well and so successfully, like Rom said, by mixing it up a bit, making it more visual, showing that it can still be fun, and experimenting with it a bit more, like that for me, I just really hope that we start to see more good RPGs that, like, we're not just doing this wishy-washy thing of, oh, what do people like, what do people not like? We're just making good games that people will enjoy.
Yeah. I think we definitely need to see more turn-based games. I mean, it's not for me, it's like a nostalgia thing, and I also find it more relaxing sometimes to have a game like that. But also, like I think of my dad. My dad, by the way, it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Pops. He's a gamer, and you know, he's 71 years old, and he, you know, doesn't have the reflexes, you know, required to do a lot of these games. So having a game that he can think about and strategize his moves and beat, you know, challenging encounters without relying on manual dexterity, that's important to have games like that. So, but I'm glad that Persona 5 is resonating with people. But and we had Darkest Dungeon last year, which, you know, people, you know, love that game, and that's turn-based. And I will mention real quick, I haven't beaten this game, but I've been talking about it on my stream. I've been playing it offline. There's a game called Battle Chasers, That is a JRPG based on a comic book series, turn-based combat. I'm having a ton of fun with that. Recommend you check that out if you like JRPGs. It's really cool.
Anything else? I'm trying to think of like other honorable mentions as well.
Oh, another honorable mention for me is Resident Evil 7. I know that came out last January.
Wait,
100%.
Pima played that too, didn't she?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Love that game. And like the thing is, my stream loves throwing horror games at me because I scream like, you know, I don't know. I'm very, very jumpy. I scream at my own alert sometimes. And you know, and I don't prefer horror games. I don't like them overall. However, Resident Evil 7 was one of those that this game scared the crap out of me, but I also loved it the whole time. Like I was engaged with the story, the characters, like the graphics are disgusting, but like amazing. And I don't know, the gameplay was really great. I love the direction they took with the series because, you know, I played some of the Resident Evil, the old school ones, you know, long time ago, 1 and 2. But like, I love the fact that they totally updated the gameplay on it and changed it.
I thought the atmosphere was really good.
That was so good.
Oh,
Until the end.
Yeah. It's kind of like a lot of Resident Evil games. They can just get like towards the end. It's just too much for me. Like it takes away the atmosphere. But yeah, I mean, just at the beginning of the game, every tiny little creak just setting you off, and the graphics are so insanely good again as well that it just feels incredibly immersive.
Yeah.
So many cringy, like, did that just happen moments in that game that were just so
right. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm getting like
just thinking about a couple of them right now.
Yeah, getting shivering right now.
It was actually my first Resident Evil. And
was it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I was like, you know what? Especially once I got past you know what the enemies look like. It's not as gross now that you know what they look like. You can fight back, you know, and so usually I'm not a fan of horror games that are cat and mouse. You're running and hiding. I can't do those. So like Outlast or Alien Isolation, I just can't do those. I don't know about you guys, but for me, if I can fight back, I'm likelier to play and enjoy it. And I was pleasantly surprised with Resident Evil 7.
But that was one of the great things about it, that I felt it paced quite well. Moments of exploring, moments of fighting, moments of hiding, and
100%.
different types of battles as well. It's not just the same thing every time. Like the bosses some of them were genuinely quite surprising what they did with them. So it did keep it fresh, getting new weapons and things like that. So I don't remember feeling like, oh, I'm sick of doing this throughout the game. Like it managed to pace it quite well throughout the whole thing.
Right. And there are some cat and mouse sequences in it, but it's not a whole game of cat and mouse. Like Outlast, like that's the scariest but also worst horror game I've had. Like you never get to fight back at all, ever. Not a single time. You can't even throw a shoe at anybody. Like in Resident Evil, they have moments that you're helpless and you're trying to hide, but then you get like some awesome moments, you know, you're like, yes, I finally got to run that effort over with a car.
Right.
Thank God. You know, it was good.
Yeah, I played Outlast as well, and whenever people mention that game to me, I'm like, okay, well, just be prepared for your heart to be beating for 8 hours straight or something, because I wouldn't say like I didn't enjoy Outlast. It is what it is, but it's very like, you don't really get a moment of feeling safe or anything. It's like, you know, you're not really, and it's just going to be another thing and then another thing. Whereas like 7 felt a little more like there were genuine moments of feeling a little more calm or a little slower, and then it would kind of ramp up the action again, which for me, I preferred that kind of horror game experience. Had a bit more atmosphere to it than necessarily just drama all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, so moving on so what about games that you streamed and played last year that didn't quite come out last year, but you particularly enjoyed? Because we've been talking about games that came out and had release dates last year. Do you guys have anything on your list that you can think of that didn't come out last year, but you streamed it and played it for the first time last year and you really, really enjoyed it?
The Last of Us.
Oh, God.
The Last of Us. Oh, man. Yeah, if we're that game was like, that might even be my top game of last year that I played last year. And sometimes games that are a little bit on rails gets a bad rap, but there's a game that, you know, it's on rails, right? But I loved every second of that. Amazing characters, amazing graphics. The story was great and emotional. You really you feel for these characters, and you're waiting for that shoe to drop the entire game, just like, oh God, what is this game going? And I know we'll talk about it later, but I cannot wait for Last of Us 2. So that game, it's incredible. Incredible.
I felt the thing with The Last of Us. I played it in 2016, I think, but just how real the characters feel. Like, even when I think back on them, sometimes when I think of certain characters, I think of their voice actor, or I think of like an animation or something. But with like The Last of Us, they really felt like properly fleshed out characters.
Yeah.
I love any game that is like straight. It could be a movie, except you're playing it. And that's definitely one of those games. It's just like, you could just pop in all the cutscenes, throw in a couple of the action sequences. You could throw it on a big screen and people would watch it because it's just that dang good.
Oh, I agree. I played it last year too, like towards the tail end, and beat it. And I was like, holy crap, why did it take me this long?
Yep.
And I agree, everything was really well done. And it's crazy because it's the same developers who made Uncharted, and I played Uncharted 1, and I was like, I really want to like this game. But I hated Uncharted 1 so bad because it was so clunky. And I fought with it on stream. I mean, my community knows. But they're the same developers who did, Uncharted 1, and now they did The Last of Us. And it's just miles apart, the quality there. But, I mean, to be fair, it's different time periods. But, like,
I was going to say, they've gotten so much better every single game. Definitely. That's why, like, Last of Us 2 is like, what are they going to do next?
I know. So exciting. So... Any other honorable mentions that didn't come out last year for you guys that you really enjoyed?
Stuff that's really old that I played last year. I did an entire week of only Dreamcast games, so I played each game for a few hours each. And I'm not someone that had a Dreamcast as a kid, but I had friends who had it growing up. And a few years back, it was a few years ago now, our friends got us a Dreamcast and a whole bunch of games, and seriously, I'm not kidding. It's one of my biggest regrets in life that I didn't want a Dreamcast when I was a kid, because I would have loved it. There are so many good games. And when people say there were not good games on the Dreamcast, I'm like, what's wrong with you? There's so many good games on the Dreamcast. So we played Shenmue, Seaman, Skies of Arcadia, Grandia 2, Soul Calibur. Blue Sting is terrible, but it was hilarious. Rez, Phantasy Star Online, Sega Bass Fishing, Space Channel 5, Crazy Taxi, D2, Jet Set Radio, Sonic Adventure, Choo Choo Rocket, and Power Stone 2. And there are even more games on the Dreamcast that are awesome. I mean, Jet Set Radio, the first game to use cel-shaded graphics. It has an awesome style, an amazing soundtrack. Just the amount of creativity. It's almost like a weird period in gaming that I feel we'll never see again, because it was the period of time where Sega was dying, and they just put a whole bunch of money to some people and just said, look, do what you want with this. And it was just really creative, imaginative stuff. So that was a real pleasure to do that, because that's something I wanted to do since I first started streaming as well. But you guys know what it's like when you kind of knew, you're like, can I really spend a whole week doing like this bunch of stuff that probably most people had never heard of? So it was awesome to get the community involved in that. And a lot of stuff nobody had really seen before. Some stuff that's unintentionally hilarious, like Sonic Adventure. All that stuff was a real highlight for my year in 2017.
You make me feel really old when you say I didn't have Dreamcast when I was a kid, and here I'm like, I bought it day one in my 20s.
I'm sorry.
It's sitting in my closet right there. I love Dreamcast.
I never had a Dreamcast either, so.
Soul Calibur, by the way, is amazing. It's the best fighting game ever.
True.
Say that right there.
For me, I did Until Dawn for Halloween, and I really enjoyed it.
I love that too. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Until Dawn was, I heard all sorts of good things about it, and I actually ended up thoroughly enjoying it. And sadly, I almost saved everybody, but I messed up at the end because I got impatient.
Yeah.
And that's the
Me
worst
too.
thing. You guys know what I'm talking about, those of you that played it. You know, that last bit, and you get impatient, you make the wrong move, and guess what? But no, it was really good. It was really well done. I ended up going back and watching some of the extras and hearing, the actors' interviews and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see, because I had never played a game like that, I guess, that was super quick time event focused and also horror themed, so it was a nice surprise, along the same lines of how pleasantly surprised I was for Resident Evil 7, I'm not really a horror game enthusiast. I don't really play them usually. And so it's nice when I find horror games that I actually enjoyed versus, feeling like a chore to trek through it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But-
no, I loved Until Dawn as well. Like you said, that you really get invested in the characters, and it's so easy to pick the wrong thing and lose somebody, and you can really like change. You really have a lot of say as to who lives and dies in that game by the end. And you know, I find myself more and more sensitive to games that give you the illusion of choice. Versus actually having choices that matter.
Yep.
And this game, your choices matter because you'll never see that person again if you make the wrong choice. So it's really good. It's really good.
You say wrong, I say right, because my playthrough had 0 survivors intentionally. Because my movie was going to be terrible if it was like taken from the outside perspective. That's what I want. I like to do. I want to go back and play that game again, and that's where I think the game shines for me. Is a game has real replayability. Like, sure, the story's kind of the same, but you get to replay and just completely mess it up or make it better depending on what you're trying to do, and it's different every time, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great game.
Go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. I already had another honorable mention.
Oh, so did I. So
Go for it.
My game this year that I went back to, because I was like trying to think, I'm like, I didn't have anything prepared for this because I guess I didn't see that the question, but like a game I went back to this year every Monday. I play a game with another streamer, and we went back to Terraria, which I hadn't played since like launch, and there's been a lot of updates to that game, and we modded it and the community's done a ton with that game. And I'd played it and I'd gotten to like hard mode, but I never actually went through and took the time to like go all the way through it. It was an absolutely delightful experience because it really scratched an itch I hadn't really played in a long time. I hadn't played like Minecraft or any like survival building games or whatever in a long time. So Terraria was that game for me from way back this year that I had played that I really quite enjoyed. I spent a lot of time off cast actually playing as well.
My kids would love you.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah,
it's
that-
basically, at least I remember watching Terraria, but I never got into it. It reminds me a lot of, I guess, Minecraft, even though it's not quite the same.
It's
right?
kind of like, it would be like Minecraft 2D would be like the easy way to say it. But like the huge part of it is, especially later in the game, it becomes boss farming almost to create the new thing, right? There are so many weapons and items in the game. When you mod it, you just add more. But it's always like, ooh, I got this mat or this material. What else can I make now? Oh, what does it do? And like, it's a constant discovery game of weapons. And the combat's pretty good in it, but it was always just that constant allure of what's the next thing you're gonna get. So, yeah.
So I played Bloodborne.
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess we both had a PS4 heavy year, didn't we?
Yeah. I got PS4 like not this past Christmas, but Christmas before. So a lot of the games last year were catching up on PS4 stuff. Yeah, as somebody who absolutely loves the Dark Souls series, Bloodborne was an amazing playthrough. Really, really cool, like setting, environment, and just crazy, creepy, bosses and very, very challenging content and stuff like that. But also, it's faster paced than the Dark Souls game. So I love the mechanic that as you take damage, like if you take damage, you have a couple seconds to hit them back, and you'll get some of that damage you took back, which makes it a much more aggressive style. Because I turtled a lot in the Dark Souls games. You just want to turtle and be very defensive, but this game you want to be aggressive. It was really great, and there's some shocking jump scary moments as well, and it's just a very creepy kind of.
Did you like the faster pace over Dark Souls without being able to block, essentially, just to having dashes?
Yeah, no, I did. I still think overall I prefer Dark Souls 3 and how that combat felt overall. But yeah, I liked being incentivized not to be overly defensive, because I think that was one of the things making it harder for me in playing through Dark Souls is like, a lot of newer players will get that shield with the 100% block, and they use that as their whoopee, right? That's their security blanket. And I definitely feel like if getting used to dodging and the immunity frames is really, really key to kind of, beating things quicker. So, yeah.
For me, I actually ended up preferring Bloodborne over Dark Souls 3. Because I played Dark Souls 1, I beat that. I started Dark Souls 2, never actually finished it because I lost interest, sadly. And then Dark Souls 3, I played it like 4 times over. And I loved it to death. And then I got Bloodborne and played that last year. And that became my this is my favorite of all the Soulsborne games. And I love the aggressive gameplay. I love the world. The world and the lore is really deep. I actually went back on YouTube and started watching a bunch of lore videos on Bloodborne explaining what's going on and all that backstory. And I thought that was really interesting. So I particularly enjoyed that. But yeah, the aggressive combat, I actually preferred that. Because I actually ended up going back to Dark Souls 3 when the DLCs came out.
Yeah.
Because the DLC, one or two of the DLCs came out last year, right? For Dark Souls 3.
The Ring City came out, yeah.
Yeah, I went back to play it. And I was like, man, this game is so slow. I was actually frustrated with how slow it was because it wasn't fast paced. It wasn't aggressive, you know? And yeah, for me, Bloodborne was definitely an honorable mention. I'm so glad I played it. It was really good.
A shout out as an honorable mention and an ongoing game would be Overwatch. It's continued to be awesome in 2017. Played it a heck of a lot. Still playing it a heck of a lot. Just been a lot of fun seeing what they continue to add to the game. New maps, new characters, keeping it fresh, keeping it interesting. And again, similar to what I mentioned about Breath of the Wild, wasn't interested in it. Wasn't even going to try it. Gave the beta a go and loved it. And then just, that was it. Kept playing it. And I don't even know how much playtime in that game now. I'm not someone who's traditionally interested in FPS, but what I really continue to like about it is, for me, like the only sort of FPS or whatever team shooter style stuff I ever played was like GoldenEye 64 and Time Splitters. And for me, Overwatch has that similar kind of feeling. It's kind of fast, kind of frantic. It has like colorful characters. It's a bit more engaging for me. And yeah, I would be totally remiss not to give it a shout out because I do really, really love that game.
Yeah, I'm totally, everything you said resonated with me there, Peebo. I wasn't planning on playing it till the beta, and then I've been sucked in ever since. I have a competitive Overwatch group. We get together every Monday night and play, and yeah, it's awesome watching the game continue to evolve and new things added to it. And of course, the new shiny skins that they keep coming out with that I just need to have. But yeah, I love that game. It's really well polished, and they have a character for everyone. You know, if you suck at aiming, you know, you can play Reinhardt and put a big shield up and swing a hammer. You know, it's awesome that, you know, different types of play styles are totally allowed in that. So yeah, Overwatch is great.
Yeah, I'm sad because I used to play Overwatch and then I just kind of fell off the edge with it. I enjoyed it while I did. I feel like it's a game that if you don't have a core set of like friends or people to play with constantly, that it's easy to just kind of fall off with it. I don't know if you play with your community on stream, that's probably different. But for me, I didn't.
Yeah,
back when I played it a bit, it was not part of my stream.
Yeah, I don't
know
stream
if
it.
that makes a difference.
I rarely stream it. You know, I'm not good at it at all, and so and it's hard to interact with your stream while you're playing it. So if I'm not good at it and can't interact, I'm like, who the hell wants to watch this?
Do you find that challenging, Pila? Because I know you stream it regularly.
I definitely play worse on stream than I do off stream, but I think some people will think that's just an excuse. But it's definitely true, okay?
It's totally true.
And no, it really is, yeah, because it is difficult to concentrate and aim and stuff while you're trying to reach out at the same time. But there's always a good energy and it's always fun and it's nice to play with the community as well. But I do play by myself on a weekend as well. I think because the matches are so short as well, it's a nice game like that where I don't have to feel invested in a story and I'm sitting down to put time into it. I'm just like, oh, I'm just waiting for dinner to cook for half an hour. Let's just play some Overwatch. And, you know, it's nice. Similar with Splatoon 2, actually. Probably Overwatch and Splatoon 2 are two games I play the most of off stream because the matches are 3 minutes long in Splatoon 2 and you can just fill a couple minutes with that rather than dedicating loads of time to it.
Yeah. If you're playing solo, like you can jump into the arcade where they have all these kind of different game modes, Mystery Heroes and Deathmatch and all kinds of stuff like that. And you can get your weekly, you know, bonus loot boxes just by doing that. But yeah, I agree with you, Snowlit. Like it is more fun when you if you want to do something like play with an organized team and have people who are willing to play tanks and healers and have a good comp and all that stuff. It's better if you have like a team of people, you know, because otherwise it can get a little frustrating. Like, why does everybody want to be Genji? You know.
So, moving into the flip side, are there any games you guys played and streamed last year that you didn't like? You know, whether you finished it or not, you just really were put off by it. You gave it a shot and you really tried hard to like it. And you were almost there, but you're like, you know what? This is not for me. anything on your list that you feel like, you know?
Honestly, no, I don't think so.
Really?
Probably the thing I liked the least was Horizon, but like I say, it's still an 8 out of 10 for me. There was just like looking at my list of games I played, they were insanely good. There was nothing I didn't enjoy.
Interesting. When Horizon Zero Dawn's the worst game you played last year,
Right?
I mean you had a good year.
Well, you need to tell me your betting process for games you stream because apparently I'm really bad at it.
Yeah, I mean, not to throw it off topic, we'll get back to the topic, but yeah, just a quick shout out to like stuff. There was just tons of games last year that were, I'm sure nobody else cared about, and they weren't particularly remarkable, but they were just great games, like Everybody's Golf. I mean, before I streamed it, hardly anyone heard of this game, and then a bunch of people ended up buying it when I streamed it because it's just like a really well done, chilled, but kind of intricate golf game, and it's really good. Stuff like Styling Star, which again, it's just fun. It was good. I mean, Mario Kart 8, it's basically the same as what we had on the Wii U, but again, it's solid. Same with Splatoon 2. It's basically the same as Splatoon 1, but it was really, really good. I mean, there was just tons of stuff like that where, I don't know, I just didn't really have any complaints with it.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm curious then, for Rom and Bog, you guys are saying, you know, teaches how
I
you choose your
have
games.
Two games that stand out, and I knew both of them were going to be bad before I played them. But one of them was Madden 18. I played through the campaign because I didn't think anyone else would. I'm like, let's see how terrible this is. Let's just have a terrible stream. And it was absolutely terrible. It took an hour to get into the game. Because of all like the tutorials and everything else. And within the first 10 minutes of the game, they sent me a like warning, like, hey, is this you? And they put my phone number right on the screen for my EA account. And
Are you serious?
Immediately delete the VOD. It's like, instead of like saying, oh, we sent you an email to your email, and they cross out like half of it. It was just, hey, how's it going? Your name. Here, we sent this to your phone number. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh,
like I sat there, I'm like, oh, what do I do?
That's
so
crazy.
between that two things, and then just like the worst voice acting, Telltale like styled campaign, like it was bad, but it was in a like campy, really bad, like good way, kind of. So yeah, Madden 18 was something I'd like to take back a little bit, and then Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is the next game from 3, which if you don't know, it's a fighting game, whatever. This game was
Is that the one where Chun-Li looked like not Chun-Li? Is that the one?
Yeah, it's over stylized, and they didn't have like any of the X-Men characters in it because I can't remember, they couldn't get like the licensing for it, but they had all these random stuff. Like the story was just thrown together last second. It was a trip. Another cast though that I knew I was going into, the game was going to be terrible, but I did it anyways, just for the fact to kind of rip on it. Madden and Marvel Capcom Infinite, you kind of failed me, but I loved you all the same. What about you, Bog?
You know what? It's weird. I don't have a game that I hated and I thought was awful, but I played For Honor the beginning of last year, and like I played I think there was like a beta beforehand, and I played that, and then I actually bought like the collector's edition of this game because I thought this is going to be amazing. The graphics are unbelievable. Okay, the combat was super fun, and it's knights versus Vikings versus samurais. It was basically my childhood little plastic figures like realized in this awesome game, and I had a lot of fun playing it for the first like stream or two, and even offline. However, the game killed itself, in my opinion, with how the progression of the game went. I mean, talk about like having a great core game and then messing up like the reward systems and like the progression system in it. Because like I was, I'm into Overwatch, right? And I'm used to like the way that you kind of level up your account. And you can unlock cosmetics and different things like that. But this game had a couple things that were like completely like off the wall, like crazy in my opinion. First of all, you got loot boxes to open up different layers of gear, right? Unfortunately, the gear wasn't just cosmetic. It wasn't just getting cool skins. They actually increased your power. And this is a game that you can play against.
Pay to win.
So
it was totally.
So, and part of the issue is like your level. Let's say I'm leveling up the guy with the flail, which was my favorite character. He's a knight with a flail. How cool is that, right? You get loot boxes as you're leveling up, but the longer you wait to open up the loot box, the more powerful the gear you would get out of it. So everyone's telling me, don't open up any of your boxes until you get level like 21, 22, whatever it was. And I'm like, oh, that sucks, you know? Like here I'm like I gotta hoard all these boxes. And then here's the thing. Let's say you play the flail guy, you level them all up, you open these loot boxes, get them all this gear and all this kind of stuff. And then you're like, hey, today I want to play a samurai or one of the Viking guys or something. Well, guess what? You start all the way back over at level 1. And none of the loot, none of the progression, none of it carries over. So you really are incentivized to stick to one character only. Imagine Overwatch that, you know, all of your time on Reinhardt made Reinhardt better. But you never really incentivized to switch to anyone else. So that killed the game for me. Here's a game that I really thought would be a big game for me last year, and it was so disappointed. Like everything was there. They just screwed up the rewards and the progression system, in my opinion.
Yeah, I remember when it came out. It was like people were all on the hype boat for it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was fun.
Like the core gameplay was so much fun. Like the rotation of like playing. Oh, it was constant action all the time. But like you said, I had to look it up again. And if you played like 2 hours and you didn't buy anything, it would take you 3 years to unlock everything in the game as a casual player, which is why? Yeah. Why?
So that disappointed me majorly. Major disappointment. I still have this itch every once in a while. Like maybe I should patch that and log in again, but it's just it does not respect your time. That's really what it is. Doesn't respect your time. You know? So I don't know. That was disappointing. I also this is interesting. There's a couple of games from last year and that I was enjoying, but I didn't feel like it was good for my stream. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like I stopped and my chat always makes fun of me. Like any games like I start and don't finish on stream, they constantly remind me of it and make fun of me for whatever reason. I don't know why. But Mass Effect Andromeda and Neo were 2 games that I started on stream last year.
Neo.
And enjoyed them okay. They were okay. They're like, I don't hate the game. I don't think it's like a bad game or anything like that. But like chat would die, like nobody's talking. I didn't feel like the energy with my chat and stuff like that. And after a couple streams, I stopped it. So I'm not saying they're bad games, but neither one of those games resonated enough with my community to have for me to continue them.
I think we all had similar experiences with Neo, right?
Yeah, the game that added more mechanics the further you played it. Like every 5 minutes, it was like, hey, did you know there's another new mechanic to the game?
Right.
And then like the constant like grinding to like, I hate games where you can't just do the main story, the main like stuff and keep up. You have to do every little thing to keep up with the main story. And Neil was like that. I'm like, I don't want to do the grinding of these like nameless side missions that I'd want more story. I want more context. That's all I want. And I was forced to constantly grind. I had to do the same thing with you that you did, Bog. Same thing. Just put it aside. Never talk about it again. Just put it in the corner. Maybe we'll come back to it.
Yeah, I feel bad because I initially really liked Neo. I like the way, you know, they presented themselves with the theme and everything and the rich Japanese history and culture. That was really cool. But then, yeah, the progression was just almost like you're fighting it just to try to enjoy the game. You're fighting to enjoy the game. And I felt that was a little, I don't know, I just really lost my interest. And I've even thought about like just a few weeks after taking the game back to GameStop and being like, time to refund.
Yeah.
Or sell it back or whatever, you know.
And like I wanted and I guess part of the issue is they made the game so similar and feel to some of the Dark Souls games and stuff like that, but then where they departed, like it's a good idea to depart, right? You want to stand out. I think where they departed was wrong. like the Diablo style loot. Like how many damn like of the same weapon do you need to drop for me in each mission? Like, and I would get so into like managing inventory rather than just playing. Like, I don't know. I hated that. And I also don't like when you go back to it's more of a lobby based thing where it's like, oh, you finished that mission. Let's go back to the lobby. That, yeah. Like, I don't want that. I wanted a seamless world.
You want the Dark Souls experience.
I want the Dark Souls experience.
Just play Dark Souls.
I beat all
Pretty
those.
much
I want a new one.
right?
I want a new one. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that said, what about? Is there anything else in 2017 you guys want to mention before we move
Someone
on to
brought it up
2018?
and I totally forgot about it. Battlefront 2, another game I knew was going to be bad.
Oh, Battlefront 2.
I mean, I'm not even going to go into the loot box thing because that's been gone through so much and we're all sick of hearing it. But I played the single player because, hey, I thought it was all right. If any of you played Spec Ops The Line, the same person who wrote that game, which was a pretty good story, was writing the story for Battlefront 2. I'm like, okay, I'm down for this. Also, it was supposed to be from the Empire side instead of the Rebels, which I'm like, we've never done that before in a game. That would be really cool too, which they totally abandoned that part of the storyline immediately and went into, you want to play Luke Skywalker? And it just felt like they were trying to sell you to buy the characters in the multiplayer by shoving them into the single player. There was literally a section for 10 minutes where I killed bugs with a lightsaber with Luke Skywalker. For what reason? It was like this tiny defense thing. It was so crammed in and just visibly, and oh, it's just disgusting. I thought I could get through it and I did, but that game, I had so much hope. I think everyone did. Everyone had a lot of hope for that game, and
So it's not just the whole loot box.
No.
It's also the actual gameplay.
Yeah, they just randomly did fan service all the time, just shoving in characters into the story so that you could play them, and it really didn't make a lot of sense just for the fact of doing it. And they're just like, when you thought the game was over, it really wasn't over, and it's a huge disappointment because I love Star Wars so much. And DICE does a really good engine and it's really pretty and the sounds are so good and like everything is there. They just need to just finish that last little bit of making it fun and not trying to nickel and dime you the entire time. So
yeah, I haven't played any Star Wars games ever.
Oh, the Old Republic's so good.
Yep.
You need to play it.
See, I've heard they're good. And I feel like I should add that to my backlog, my ever-growing backlog. But yeah, the whole thing with the loot boxes already kind of drove me away from Battlefront 2 anyway. But it's interesting to know that, you know, there were some aspects of the actual, you know, single player that you didn't like, Rom. And did you try it out, Bog, by any chance? No,
it was the kind of thing that was on my radar because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and then as that game started blowing up, I'm like, I'm gonna tiptoe away from this. I'm gonna step away from the Force.
I had the same thing. There was already like a lot of stuff being said about it, and I thought we'll give it a pass.
Yeah. When you did you stream it, Rom?
what, the single player?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wasn't going through that alone. I was going to drag everyone with me through the mud on that one.
Did you get a lot of folks like coming into your stream just to complain about the game?
Yeah, like totally. And I was right there with them. Like, I to totally like disarm the loot box thing. I totally did a thing on my stream. If you like donated or subbed, you would unlock an on-stream loot box. Like I had this like slot machine go off, and I totally had an extra scene where people can unlock hats for cats and stuff and do all this dumb stuff. So just played a huge riff on it, and I just wanted to take it lighthearted. And
that's awesome.
By the end of the night, I was just like so salty. There was a point, and there's a clip of this where I was Han Solo, and we're infiltrating this thing, or like the enemy didn't see me. And it's two stormtroopers just talking to each other, just nonchalantly. And I literally walked up face to face to the stormtrooper. He walked into me. He looks at me for like 2 seconds, and he goes, "There they are!" Like 2 seconds, like point blank. I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" Just walked up and didn't do anything. I'm like, "Yep, I just need to end this game," but we're so close to the end.
To be fair, that seems pretty typical for what a stormtrooper would do.
True, yeah, and then of course he missed the first couple shots. Like everything played out. It was canon.
Well, that actually reminds me then, are there any games you guys streamed that were unpleasant to stream even though you enjoyed the game? Or on the flip side, you really enjoyed streaming it because the community surprised you with how good the energy was, or you know, made your broadcast more exceptional than they already are, you know? That sort of
I
deal.
played through Alien Isolation. I don't know, I'm weird with horror stuff. Some stuff I just find ridiculously atmospheric and spooky and scary. And then other stuff like Resident Evil 7 didn't really have a problem with it. It was a bit scary at first, but then it was fine. Played through Outlast, again, a bit scary, but I played it. It was fine. Didn't find Layers of Fear scary in the slightest, but yeah, Alien Isolation, I found it really, really, really scary. And yeah, I was kind of coming home and a bit like, I don't really want to play that just because it's too scary. But chat really added to it, and we're really getting into it, and everyone was so proud of me for getting through it. It was a good time, and it genuinely was a really good game. The thing I kept saying about Isolation was that I kind of feel like they tried to make a good game first and not a scary game second, so it plays well as a good game. I mean, yeah, it gets a bit weaker towards the end, but you know, the detail to making it similar to an Alien, like the Alien movies and so on. I thought it was a really good game, and I don't regret playing through it. I just had a couple moments of nearly wetting myself, that's all.
You're braver than I am. I tried Alien Isolation and I wimped out. I quit that thing.
Surprised.
I was like, nope, and nope. I think I got as far
I really
as
wanted
like
to.
I got as far as like the first time you see the alien, and then I was like, I'm done. So that's not
It's so
very
weird.
far.
It's weird hearing what scares different people. I get scared at everything, right? But like, I thought Layers of Fear was way scarier than Alien Isolation. Like,
I got through Layers of Fear. I enjoyed it actually.
I laughed at a lot of Layers of Fear. I just found it like it just didn't do it for me at all. I don't
it
know.
too campy
I don't know
or
what it is, but I do think horror is a really personal thing. Like people just they're
true.
scared by different things. For me, that wasn't it. That's all.
yeah.
Very
I think you have the
interesting.
same thing as I do, Peebo, and it's like pacing is like the number one thing that makes a good game for me. And some of those games, just especially suspense and horror, don't do pacing correctly. Layers of Fear was a bit slow, but yeah.
Very interesting parts.
If I can throw out something for a positive mention last year, would be Nier Automata. When I saw this game announced, I was like, this game is made for me. What's going on? Because the character designer, Akihiko Yoshida, was the character designer for my favorite game, Final Fantasy XII. I love female characters with white hair and badass swords and things like that. I love the kind of Japanese style. You know, it has this crazy out there story. It really... And the thing is, like, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 game. Like, it has issues with it, but it really reminds me of that kind of PS2 era of these kind of games we got that were just, like, weird and cool and had a lot of style to them. So, again, that was another highlight of 2017 for me, just seeing that kind of a bit of a return to form. Like, yeah, this is the sort of stuff I really enjoyed. This is the reason I enjoyed it. It's like 2017 was kind of the year of reminding me why I really like games. And Neo was one of those. And 10 out of 10 soundtrack. Like, the soundtrack's absolutely amazing. Even if you don't want to play the game, listen to the soundtrack. It's so good.
I agree. I actually played Nier, but I only did the first ending. I know. Everybody's always like, why don't you do the others? Because it's completely different and there's other stories and et cetera, et cetera. I only did the A ending, and I agree. It's a very... I've never played any of the Nier games. That was my first one, and it was... I guess last year was kind of my... Even though it's my first time playing that, I'm just going to play it. You know, I did that with Persona, did it with Nier. But overall, very, very impressed. And I think it was a very... Because, like... With Nier Automata, I don't know if the previous Nier games were like it, but it's like all these different genres or styles of gameplay merged into one, because you had like twin stick shooter combat, you had 2D platforming combat, you had like 3D kind of Bayonetta style combat, like you had all these stuff merged into one game. And I that was my first time playing a game like that. And I actually, my hands ached when I first played it because I was gripping my controller so hard because I wasn't used to that. It was a lot of fun though, and I really enjoyed it. And I want to go back eventually to get all the other endings, but yeah, I agree. 10 out of 10. Well, not 10 out of 10, but I would say 9 out of 10 solid.
I didn't play it, but my girlfriend did, and I remember like always like coming into the room and like, this is the same game. Like, you're running around like Dark Souls style, and then all of a sudden it's bullet hell, and you're in a ship, and the game just kept changing to different types of combat and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty neat. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go.
I was just going to say, you can go ahead. I was going to just move on to another game, but...
So was I. So.
Oh, I just said one, so you can go next.
Another one that I would say is an honorable mention is Assassin's Creed Origins. I never played an Assassin's Creed game before, and just launched that up. Was it November? Whatever, just on a whim one day, and totally loved that game. Amazing game. Really reminiscent of that Witcher 3 kind of open world style game. Unlike Witcher 3, I tried not to get lost in the weeds too much and tried to focus because I'm like, this is going to be a 1,000-hour playthrough for me if I let it. So try to
that's what's happening to me, Bog. I'm still working on Origins, months later. I'm still working on it. But I agree, it's so good. It has that reminiscent Witcher 3 feel. It's not as deep, I will say. It is not as deep as The Witcher 3.
Oh God, no.
No,
Witcher 3
and the Witcher
that
3's
bar
got more
super
personality. Witcher 3 has more personality. And I found myself laughing a lot with Witcher 3. And I don't think I've laughed at Assassin's Creed, but it was still really fun to play through. And yeah, like when I played Witcher 3 on stream, it I don't know, I probably did close to 30 different streams of that game to get through it and stuff like that. Assassin's Creed Origins, I got it down to 9 streams, so I was really focused on trying to get through it. So, but yeah, it's a great. I love the whole. I love ancient Egypt and that whole vibe. So, and it made me. What I found surprising was you're going through sequences that have historical reference, like real world historical reference. So I found myself shutting down the stream and then getting lost on Wikipedia, Pyramid of Giza, Cleopatra. I was trying to figure out like how much of this is based on real world stuff and it was cool. Like, oh my God, I was in. This actually happened and I was there. It's so good. I love that.
The historical accuracy is always great, but that was your first one. The big thing they took out, and I think they're adding in with an educational mode, was all the previous games would show you that. They would kind of bring up a mini wiki article and they would write it right in game.
Oh,
so you'd be
awesome.
like, oh, you just discovered the Pyramid of Giza, like you said, and then it would just hey, press this button, and then it would open up this huge thing and you could read all about it. And it was really lacking in that game.
Okay, so
if you like that stuff, you should totally check out some of the other ones if you're interested in any the history of Italy or whatever.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that so far. I'm still working on it, so no spoilers. But I quite enjoy it. I mean, I wasn't brand new to Assassin's Creed. I was brand new to the series still because I started AC2 and Brotherhood last year, and I beat those right before Origins, and so I'm still new to the series, but I wasn't, I guess, completely brand new to Assassin's Creed in general. And I will say Origins is, compared to 2 and Brotherhood, a huge step away. Like, it's 2 different games, really, massively different. But if you're thinking about picking up other Assassin's Creed games, Black Flag is one that you've probably had people mention to you. Black Flag.
I don't really know anything about Assassin's Creed. What is it that's so different about Origins?
They pretty much took every good RPG element from The Witcher, Horizon Zero Dawn, all the stuff that made those open world games good, and they added it to that series as well. Origins did a lot of things different in terms of there's a leveling system, and enemies have levels too. Usually you could just one-shot anything. You can't do that anymore. So there's a lot more progression in this one compared to the others. And the side quests are a bit more in-depth instead of I need you to tail these guys and go do something. This one was hey, there's a little bit of context and story like The Witcher would do, which was good.
Cool.
Yeah. And I remember when I streamed, I don't know if you got that too, Bog, when you were streaming Origins, people just coming in that were diehard AC fans, and they were like, this game was a fresh breath of air. And people just making that sort of comment. And it was nice to see that from, diehard AC fans coming in too and being really praising the game that you're also enjoying. And so, because I don't know if you guys have streamed games where you get people who come in and bash the game you're streaming. Maybe.
That's just me. Yeah. I'm doing that instead of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right though, because Assassin's Creed fans have had ups and downs, right? There's some games that that didn't resonate well with the community at large, and I think Origins is one of those that did. So yeah, there was a lot of positive energy while I was streaming that. So
I think the best thing that Origins did was good or bad, whether you liked it or not, is they got rid of the real world animus stuff. They got rid of that completely, unless you wanted to dig into it, and that was fine. You had no longer had an hour stint of not being immersed in the world anymore. I was super conflicted on Origins. I had a huge excuse me, honeymoon phase with that game. I loved it, but then I kind of started to see some things I didn't like. I didn't really did you, Snow? I didn't really, or Bog, I didn't really care for Bayek. I found him very flat as a character. He really didn't have a lot going on besides the revenge storyline, and you didn't hear a lot from him. And his significant other was way more interesting. I would
Yes.
rather had
Oh
a story.
yeah, I want them to make a game around Aya.
Oh,
Yeah,
she was
I
so
would
much
play
more
it.
interesting instead
Yeah.
of.
No, I can see that. Like, I'm not even done with AC Origins, and I can see that in Bayek. Like, he's very stoic. He's very
Yeah.
like. It's hard for you as the gamer to relate to him in some ways because he doesn't have that personable, like approachable kind of draw you in to really. Because when a character that you're playing you can relate to as a gamer, that's huge, and you don't really feel that with Bayek. I felt more drawn in with Ezio playing, his storyline than Bayek, and like, I don't know, he wasn't a bad character.
To make Bayek more approachable and so you can relate more, you have to put on the bath towel costume. Once you do that,
And ride the unicorn. It's 100%.
yeah, then you're good. Then it's fine. Totally relatable.
There you go.
Not the unicorn. You got to ride the chocobo thing. Did you unlock
Yeah.
the Final Fantasy
The camel
crossover stuff?
cosplaying as a chocobo.
That was so
Wait, what?
bizarre.
Yeah,
You have to log in and get this. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Ron, there's a Final
just add
Fantasy
it?
15 crossover quest because in Final Fantasy 15 they have an Assassin's Creed thing, and then in Assassin's Creed Origins they have a Final Fantasy 15 thing, and it goes from now until the end of January, so you have time to get it. But you do like a
Alright.
puzzle, and you unlock 3 limited edition items. One of them's a sword, one's a shield. They're from Final Fantasy 15, and then you get a camel that wishes it was a chocobo. Basically.
it's something to see. It is something to see.
Yeah. But it's limited edition. You might as well, It's not hard to get.
No, yes, it's worth the 15 minutes of doing the quest
Yeah.
to see it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree with a lot of that. For me, I want to mention something from I played last year that's definitely not new to last year, was the Kingdom Hearts series. I dove into that myself for the first time ever, doing the remaster or the final mix, all that stuff. I did 1, 2, and Birth by Sleep all completely on stream. I skipped a few of them. I skipped Chain of Memories. I skipped 358 over 2 days. All that. And I started Dream Drop Distance, and I completely dropped it because I was burning out on Kingdom Hearts at that point. But it was really good because I grew up with Final Fantasy myself, and I knew about Kingdom Hearts because my younger brother back then actually played it on our PS2 way back when. But I never played it myself, and so I finally got around since I got a PS4, around the same time as Bog. Most of my games last year were a lot of PlayStation exclusives, and Kingdom Hearts was one of them, and I loved it. Loved it. And I'm just excited for Kingdom Hearts 3, which we'll talk about.
It did come out on PS4 last year, though, didn't it?
Actually, yeah.
Even though
Yeah.
the HD remix had previously been on, I can't remember, PS3 or something, but then they've released it on PS4 last year, so that was pretty cool.
That's true. I forgot about that. But yeah, I mean,
I also played it last year, although I had played it before, probably in about 2004 or something like that. So I was just playing through it again, more in prep for Kingdom Hearts 3, maybe eventually coming out, so I could remember what happened in it.
Fingers crossed. They say 2018. But
We
we've been
shall
waiting
see.
for like over a decade.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts wasn't the only one to come to PS4 last year. We also had Final Fantasy 12, The
yeah.
Zodiac Age, and Final Fantasy 9 as well. I played both of those. FF12 is one of my favorite games of all time. Despite that, I really don't think it's a 10 out of 10 game. I just personally really like it a lot. And it was my first time playing FF9 as well. So both of those were good fun, and good to see stuff like that coming to the PS4 as well, which I think helps strengthen. I mean, there's lots of good reasons to have a PS4 right now, to be honest. There's quite a few good exclusives, but more stuff like that. Although I think FF12 is coming out for PC either the end of this month or the end of next month. I can't remember, but soon anyway.
and Final Fantasy 15 is coming to PC as well. But that said, moving to the streaming side of things, was there anything you guys streamed last year that was, again, really, really pleasant or really, really not pleasant? Like hardcore backseat gamers, really, really passionate viewers who kind of tried to shove their opinion down your throat, etc., etc. We're not trying to bring out any names, but just kind of an overall streaming experience, because we all are streamers, and there is sadly some fandoms that are a little bit too passionate sometimes.
I mean, it was actually this No, wait. I did start Kingdom Hearts 2 last year. Yeah. I played through all of Kingdom Hearts 1, but like I said, I played that before, and I started 2 last year, but I've actually stopped streaming it a couple weeks ago because I've not played Kingdom Hearts 2 before. And I found it like, when I tweeted out, like, I'm going to stop playing it, I kind of tried to think quite hard how to phrase it, because it wasn't just simple backseating, because every game you get some backseating and it's fine and it just gets purged or whatever, or you just tell them off. But I almost felt like it was too intense. Like everybody was well, not everybody, I'm totally exaggerating, but I felt kind of scrutinized on like what I was doing. And then like I just had people complaining out the wazoo that I hadn't played Chain of Memories. And I just felt like the fandom was kind of just being too intense about it, that it was making me not enjoy playing it. Like I kind of, again, like I came home, and unlike Alienware, like I was scared to play it. With Kingdom Hearts, I was just like, I genuinely don't really want to stream it. Like I'm not really looking forward to it. And I just thought, I shouldn't be in a position where I'm feeling that way. And it's the first time I've had that with a game I've been streaming. And I just thought, even if it's like a little thing, it wasn't this huge overblown like deal. I just thought even if there's like a tiny part of me that's like, I don't really want to do that, then I shouldn't, because fundamentally I want streaming to be fun. And I think it can show, even if in the smallest way, that if you're not really enjoying something or not enjoying the streaming experience. Plus also, like, I didn't want to start associating Kingdom Hearts with that, because I knew the longer that would go on, the more when I look back on it, that's what I would think, oh yeah, that was that game I streamed and people were really annoying and I was like stressing me out a bit. So I have decided to stop streaming that this year, which is kind of a shame, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily bother me necessarily. Like, I'm still going to enjoy it in my own time and play through it, so that's fine.
Yeah, I got a bit of that last year too, because I went pretty much like a 4-month period where I did nothing but Kingdom Hearts, and I definitely saw that, I guess, misplaced passion is a way to describe it. Some people just get so into it and they love the series and they want people to experience that, and so they, unfortunately keep mentioning, you should play this game, you should play this side game, and people also gave me beef for not playing Chain of Memories, so I got that too. And it's just, I love the series and I still enjoyed it, but I can definitely see where some of that frustration would have come in, because
it's the difficult thing as well, because usually if you get someone backseating or someone like, I don't know, having a go at you or telling you, like, it usually feels kind of negative and you don't feel bad purging that. But with Kingdom Hearts, like you're saying, there's almost like this misplaced, oh, we want you to enjoy it so much, listen to all the things. And it was just, I almost felt cruel, like telling them off, because it's not, people being like, oh, you need to play Chain of Memories, you got to play Chain of Memories. And it's like, I know, like, you've told me 1,000 times, like, can we just chill out for 5 minutes kind of thing. And it, I don't know, it just became kind of awkward. I didn't find it as easy to deal with as being like, oh, well, you're clearly just being a butt, go away kind of thing. So yeah, I just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah, very well. We have our last member on the team on the show today. He was, again, guys, he was dealing with some real life stuff, but he's here now. So we're gonna take a short break here to give him a self introduction, and then go back to discussions. So
Talk on, woo!
Hey, again, I apologize. I had some personal issues I had to deal with. So sorry about that. My name is Daikon. I'm a retro variety caster on Twitch. Been a Chillest member for almost 3 years. Almost about 3 years. I play a lot of retro games, and mainly I play retro games, but I play all sorts of games. So yeah, that's about it. What you guys been talking about?
So we're just
nothing.
Nothing. We're just currently
We were waiting for you.
We're still on 2017.
We've been sat here in silence this entire time.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about, we haven't talked about 2018 yet, so we're just stuff that we played last year, both new releases that came out last year, as well as stuff that didn't come out last year but you played and or streamed and enjoyed or didn't enjoy. How was it like in the streaming perspective of it, things like that.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's cool.
But yeah, if you have anything to chip in, any highlights from your 2017 you want to mention, your favorite game to play back then or last year, back then. My God.
Way back then.
Way back
So long
then.
ago.
Yeah. That was 2017 for me was a big year of marathons. There were 2 big releases in 2017, at least for me. It was Dragon Quest 11, which is not out in the States yet, but in Japan, that was a big deal. So I did a marathon playthrough of the whole entire Dragon Quest series from the first one all the way down, aside from 10, because 10 was an MMO, which was only region locked to Japan, so I couldn't play that. But then Dragon Quest 11 took a while, but then right afterwards, Mario Odyssey was announced, so I did a whole marathon of basically every single Mario platformer game, all the way from the NES all the way to the Wii U version before the Switch version, Switch Mario Odyssey came out. So that was probably a big chunk of my year, was those two series. Yeah, there were Dragon Quest 11 was fantastic. If anybody in here is a big Dragon Quest fan, I would, when it gets announced, I hear sometime this year, please get it. And Odyssey was good. I enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it to the point where I wanted to 100% it, like most Mario games I've played, but it was definitely fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Mario Odyssey is the one I wanted to mention that I hadn't got around to yet. Thing I kind of feel with Mario is you saw, well, maybe not in your case, Di, since you did a marathon, but I kind of like forget he exists for a bit, and then a Mario game comes out and you're like, yeah, sure, whatever, Mario, I'll check out. And you're like, man, Mario is so much fun, and they're always really solid, fun games. I mean,
Yeah.
At least the ones I've played have been, like you mentioned, the Wii U version. I was quite late coming to that as well. And again, didn't really go in with like massive expectations, but it's genuinely a fun game. They're really, really well done games, really fun. I liked having the co-op feature in the Wii U version. But yeah, Odyssey was no different.
Right.
You kind of think like, what are they going to do with Mario to keep that interesting? It's Mario, but they've managed to find a way to do it. And I really enjoyed playing through it.
And it's great that the Switch is both a home console and a portable console. So, you don't have to sit in front of a TV to do it. You can do it on the go. If you if you have a little bit of time on your hand, 5 minutes to spare, and you want to collect the star, you can do that. Or moon, you can collect the moon, and I like that. That's why that's why they made Mario Odyssey this one giant game of collecting 800, 900 moons, because you had that portability option, which was really cool, I think.
So from the marathon point of view, because you said you did a lot of marathons last year, just a general question to everybody on the show, have you guys thought about doing like a marathon of a game series, just doing it all kind of a deal, like the same way Dai did, or is it just something that's not really your cup of tea?
I've
Just
done
out
it
of
once
curiosity.
before. I did it with the Metal Gear Solid series in a month. I went through all of those, 1 through 4. I did all of those. That's the only time I've ever done it before. Otherwise, it's like too much of a good thing sometimes for me, and I kind of get sick of the series and I have to like break it up. But that's the time I've done it.
Yeah, I played through all of the Dark Souls series, but I didn't do it in like back to back. I interspersed other games in between them, so I don't know if that qualifies for a marathon. But I have been contemplating playing some of the Uncharted games. You saw you guys ask about that on Discord, but yeah, I haven't actually. It's a lot to commit. It's a lot of stream time to commit to do something like that, and I don't know. I feel like the people that are into whatever marathon game that you have chosen are going to be like, pig rolling around in mud, like, yes. But anybody who might not like that, like, I don't know. It's tough to alienate them for so long. So I try to mix it up every week as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
The closest
I wouldn't
got
necessarily.
To a marathon, well, sorry, go.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the closest I got to a marathon was when I did Kingdom Hearts, and that was all I did for like 4 months. But I mean, I guess it depends on your community. How was your experience as well, Dai, with it? Because I know you have a retro community anyway, and they probably really enjoyed the retro series you picked. Did you find it challenging to do a marathon?
Yeah, especially Dragon Quest was probably the toughest one because they are decently long JRPGs. So I think Dragon Quest is the only RPG series I probably would be able to marathon from start to finish. I think the whole thing took about 500 hours. Wow. And yeah, that's a lot of cast. And I guess I love the series enough that I didn't really get too burnt out. I was actually getting burnt out around Dragon Quest 9. I guess also because I've played those games in the past.
Yeah.
So that's why it's easy. It's, I guess, easier to get burnt out because you already know what's going to happen. So you're just kind of going through the motion. But when Dragon Quest 11 came out, it was such a fresh new experience. So and I fell in love. I didn't burn out at all on Dragon Quest 11, and that game took about 110 hours on first playthrough. So
wow.
Yeah,
you're like, thank goodness, something new, something I didn't expect.
And it was on the, it was on the PS4, so I mean, it was graphically beautiful, and it was just a blast. I enjoyed every minute of it.
That's awesome. Peebo, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say I've never really marathoned anything. And I suppose the closest I've ever had was Persona 4 and then playing Persona 5 immediately afterwards. And because of the way I do my casts and they're fairly short, that I'm playing the game once per week, that I was playing, I don't even know for how long, for how many months I was playing Persona 4 and then kind of overlapped a little into Persona 5. But it's kind of nice in a way because you're like building up these people who enjoy things you enjoy and then they're coming over to the next game with you, which is kind of fun. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it. I mean, I understand what you mean about burnout, and especially if it's something you played before, I guess that could be a little ropey, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, where you can introduce or you pull in people that really love that series and they kind of follow you in to the next series and the next game, and that's what happened with me for Kingdom Hearts especially. Like I did end up burning out quite a bit because I was, I did 1 and then I did 2 and then I did Birth by Sleep, and with Birth by Sleep you have 3 different protagonists and you go through the story 3 times basically with each character. And then by the time I got to Dream Drop Distance, I was like, all right, I'm getting burned out. My community is getting burned out. Time to finally switch. And so, but thankfully, I think a lot of people that found me during that time are still around. So that is a plus.
That's
that
awesome.
Is a plus.
Thank you for joining the Glasses Club, Deck.
On the topic of Dragon Quest, I kind of looked into Dragon Quest X a bit for some reason, and when I looked into it, I was actually really sad that they haven't brought it over here because it looks like the kind of MMO I'd really enjoy. Would it be something you would actually play if you could?
I would love to, but from what I understand, it's region locked to Japan only. So I would need a VPN and all this stuff. So and I don't know. I don't know what you guys feel about joining MMORPG when it's been that long since the game came out. Like,
yeah,
it's
that's the difficulty.
Right, because the game has been out since 2012, so this is on its 6th year. So I don't know how comfortable I would be to start an MMO when that game itself has been out for so long.
It's usually just because there's so much content in it that it can be a little overwhelming, but I guess it depends how they approach that as well.
Yeah, like Guild Wars 2 is the main MMO that I stream, and I get people all the time in my chat saying, "Can I start this game now? It's been out, over 5 years." And the thing that they did with their game is they don't have vertical progression in it, right? They've come out with 2 expansions now. They've never raised the level cap. They have 2 expansions now. They've never increased the power level of your gear in the 5.5 years that you're there. So it's horizontal progression, and each expansion will allow you to do things like, oh, now I can glide, and now I can reach places I wasn't able to do before. So it's kind of more like a Zelda, or where you kind of like, you don't really increase in power necessarily, but you get new capabilities to explore the world differently. And that for Guild Wars 2, I always say, like, this is if you're going to get into an MMO that's been out for a long time, this is the one to do it because of that factor. There's not a lot of catch up to do. There's tons of content, but you don't have to do everything in order to catch up. So. And
awesome.
I kind of wanted to actually talk about Guild Wars 2 for a second because the second expansion, Path of Fire, came out. So that's definitely something of a highlight of the year for me, video game wise. I know a lot of people might not play it, but I want to say that the expansion was super cool. Added a whole bunch of story, added a whole bunch of zones, like which would be typical for an MMO expansion. But the one thing that I want to shout out is they added mounts to the game for the first time. The game's been out for over 5 years, didn't have mounts. And you might think, well, doesn't every MMO have mounts? Like, what the hell is so special without that? And, a lot of folks before it came out were feeling that way. But I have to say, never has mounts been done the way that this game is done in terms of making it feel like a joy to be on them. And I went to a press event before the expansion came out, and one of the terms that the devs gave to us was, we wanted you to feel the joy of movement. And it sounded like such like PR marketing BS, when we were there. And then actually it's 100% true. There's 5 different mounts in the there's different mounts in the game, but like for example, there's a raptor you ride on, and the animations and the sound that this thing and the way that it lumbers, and you unlock the ability to do these long jumps to jump across chasms. That's how far they could jump. And like suddenly the just running full speed on this thing and then being able to leap 2 football fields on this thing is like, what? And then they have a springer, which is kind of like a jackalope thing, and you can vault vertically with this thing. And there's a skimmer that goes over quicksand and lava and water and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know. I just wanted to shout out because that was a highlight of the year for me in terms of gaming. The way the mounts feel in this game, it's incredibly fun. So props to ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2 for that.
Awesome. So I know this is like a weird spot and Di just joined us, but we're going to take our mid-show break. It's a 5-minute break. Everybody can go use the bathroom, grab a drink, grab a snack, stretch, and do your thing. This show's not over because after the break, we're going to come back. We'll probably still wrap up, I guess, talk about 2017 a little bit more, wrap it up, and then move on to what we're looking forward to this year in 2018. So don't go anywhere, guys, and take a break with us. We'll see you in a few.
Sweet.
All right. We are back. Thank you guys for all taking a break with us. Episode 21 of the Chillest podcast, our gaming 2017 in review and upcoming in 2018 now continues. So we were still talking about 2017 right before the break. Anything to add to it? I know Di just joined us. I don't know if you have stuff to add about highlights of 2017, what you didn't like to stream or like to stream in 2017, stuff. Games you started and didn't like and you gave up, because that was a thing too.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of those. Honestly, for me, I guess I didn't enjoy. Actually, I tried Breath of the Wild when it came out, and that game didn't seem to communicate with me that well. So I stopped playing after about half an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
I did the same thing. Thank you. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Is it just because it has a slow start?
I don't know what it is. It just didn't. I don't know. Yeah. Also, Mario Odyssey didn't really speak to me that well either. Like I when I first popped in Mario Odyssey, the first two stages, whatever, were epic. There was just so much fun. And then maybe because I was trying to 100% it at the same time, maybe that was the issue, instead of going through it and then going back and then trying to collect everything. But yeah, for me, those couple of the stages afterwards were just it just, for me, it felt kind of boring, and it kind of made me lose interest in the game. So then it became like almost like a chore to finish it. But I did finish the game, but very far away from 100%ing it. I think I stopped at like 450 moons or something, not even halfway there. Yeah.
It's still so many. Like, that's a lot still.
I was like only 400.
Yeah, like I think I tried to get like the minimum amount for like the other ending or whatever. Like it was like 200 or something.
Something like that, yeah. And I think you needed 500 to unlock the hidden stage, right? I think something like that. I never even got to that.
Yeah, I can understand with Breath of the Wild, because we mentioned this earlier, and I said that I was probably more like 7 hours into it until I was really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because at first a lot of stuff just seems weird. Like, oh, my weapons are breaking. This is silly. I don't like this. Oh, I'm losing my weapons and I really like them and I want to use this one. And now I'm having to pick more up. And I was kind of reacting like that at first. But the more you get into it and you actually start to appreciate what that's doing, because it's making you use things around you. You're not just getting one weapon at the start of the game and using that forever. I mean, at least until you get the Master Sword and you're using that a lot. So I don't know. I can understand that there's things at first that feel a little bit like, oh, I'm not so sure about this. I don't really know. But as I mentioned earlier, the more and more and more I played it, I just like off the charts with how much I liked it.
I think for me, it was not until I finished the first dungeon was where the game finally like was a proper Zelda, and it was fun because finally got to go through the puzzles and, you know, the boss fights and stuff. Everything else was just kind of like, when do we get to it? When do we get to it? When do we get to it? All right, there's a squirrel. I'm going to go over here now for a while. But the dungeon definitely was the turning point for me. Died maybe because I didn't till last week. I had the same thoughts, man. I think maybe just got to dive in one more time, get through that first dungeon.
I sold the game. So
Oh man, I haven't even done that with Neo. It's like, nope, just get it out of my sight.
Yeah, I mean the credits. You know, Amazon gave you a lot of credits for the game, so I was like, all right, let me just return it while I can. Yeah.
Nice thing about Nintendo games, they always refund really well.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah, I think I got like
interesting stuff.
$45 or something back. So
That's nice.
not-
It's 60,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
60, so it's not that bad.
Good stuff. All
But
right.
aside
Any
from
last comments about 2017?
Hellblade? Did we talk about
Oh, I
Hellblade?
didn't talk about Hellblade. I haven't played it
Who
yet.
played
still.
Hellblade?
I still
I
haven't played
didn't.
it.
I didn't play it, but I've watched bits and
Gotcha.
pieces.
I think that game was so influential this year that a indie company could make a AAA style game and so well done and just tell a really good story. And it wasn't $60, and they didn't shove loot boxes into it. And it was just Oh, I just wanted more of the combat. The combat was so good, and so was the story. And like as the character was kind of going, insane with the voices, the voice. It won. Did it win? I think it won like best sound design, or was it at least a contender?
It won something.
It was. Oh, it was really good. It was. You felt like you were going insane if you played the entire game through. I wouldn't recommend it for that very reason, because the whole time there's voices in the back of your head, like at the back of your ear cups or whatever you're listening to, constantly like whispering. And it's slightly driving you mad the entire time. Take a break, just like once at least through that game. Oh, definitely. I had no idea that game was going to be that good. I'm like, this looks cool. Picked up, fantastic.
Yeah, my boyfriend Diz played it, and he keeps wanting me to play it. He's all like, "You can do it in one sitting. Just go."
Yep.
So I mean, it is on my backlog. I just haven't gotten to it. So.
Looks good. I would love to try it out.
Anything else for 2017? Because we're going to dive into 2018.
I'm not going to lie to you. One of the games I've played the most has been Puyo Puyo Tetris. Like, it's so fun. And I love Tetris. I've been playing Tetris since I was a kid. And yeah, I like being able to play it online. And it's a new game, so other people are actually playing it online still, which is nice, because I used to play the Wii version of Tetris. And obviously what you're left with in a game isn't new, it's just all the insanely good people that there's no point trying to play against. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun as well. I mean, the Switch has just been great for games like that. They're nothing like, I'm not going to write a freaking essay about how good they are or anything, but they're just good games. They're just fun to play. I mean, stuff like Snipper Clips, that was good fun as well. Just fun two-player stuff. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of little games like that on the Switch and actually getting a lot of playtime out of them.
Anything else?
Before we get into it, I want to mention, because I played 40, 50 games. I'm not going to go through every single one. But other games I really enjoyed this year was Tekken 7 came out on PC. I'm a big Tekken fan. I've been playing a ton of that. Wolfenstein 2 New Colossus was a huge upgrade from the first one, in my opinion. Really loved that for what it was. A surprise for me was Everybody's Golf was really fun as well. Basically because it had golf and fishing, two things that I oddly love in any game ever. If you add fishing to it, it's automatically a score increase by 1, even if it's terrible. Yeah.
Really? Because to me, it's the opposite. I hate fishing in games.
Really?
I hate it.
Why?
I broke my keyboard in BDO. I literally broke my keyboard on stream because of fishing in BDO.
Don't do it. Does you need to do it? Don't do it then.
So speaking of fishing then, do you guys hate it or dislike it in games? Because it's in a bunch of games. It's in MMOs.
This year, it was in every game ever. It was Near Automata. I'm like, why is that even in there? You can fish now. Warframe added fishing.
FF15 as well,
it's in FF15.
Yeah.
It's in Near Automata.
I love that. And they're making a VR version of it too. I kind of want it for that. I don't know why I love fishing games so much and just when it's stacked in. Oh.
No, the fishing in 15, I did it because I'm still working on Final Fantasy 15. It makes you work for it. I was like, no other game where I had fishing have I ever had to work this hard to get a fish. I was like, what the heck, man?
I'm just going to say, any game where I can fish anything other than bass is not worth my time, which is why Sega Bass Fishing is the only fishing game for me. Restricting it to one type of fish, it's an innovation.
To be clear, my hatred of fishing comes mostly from MMOs. If there's other types of games or a game that is all fishing, that's different. But what I just don't like is every time I'm into an MMO that doesn't have fishing, and then the player base says we want fishing in it. I'm like, no, I don't want the devs spending time working on this when there's this that needs to be worked on. So it's usually a resource thing, in my opinion. And for whatever reason, every MMO player wants fishing in every MMO game. But anyway, that's just, I don't know. I could rant about this forever, so I don't want to derail. Can then the topic for next podcast be fishing in games?
Fishing in
totally
games?
down.
We could totally talk about it. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, that's it then. Let's move on to 2018. I know this is not just releases in 2018. What do you guys have planned for your channel this year? Maybe we actually had a question here as well from Metric Seconds that I thought was really good. Which game or games did you miss from 2017 that you're determined to stream it this year and play it, or play it? We'll start out with that. Is there anything that came out last year that you really wanted to play, but you didn't get to streaming it or playing it, and you're determined to make it a thing this year?
Yakuza 0. I really want to play. I've seen some other people play it, and I love mini games, and that game is mini game, crazy, wild. Japanese antics all over the place. I've seen it. I want to play it, and that's the game I'm going to play this year from last year that I missed out. I just didn't have time. I was too busy playing terrible games to actually play a good one. So I'll get to it this year.
Yeah, I want to play that too. Yeah, Yakuza 0, I would love to play that as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in checking out Yakuza as well because I have a lot of affection for Shenmue, and apparently Yakuza is kind of almost like a spiritual successor to it. So I'd kind of like to check it out.
Oh, I ordered Nier Automata. I've never played that. That came out last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So, I need to get on my PS4 games.
I
haven't
feel
played
like
them.
I'm trying to think of like stuff that came out last year because I'm digging in my brain right now.
I did have a little look throughout the break, and I to be honest, I think I mostly played everything I wanted to. I mean, Hellblade, you guys were just talking about. I haven't played that, and I'd quite like to check it out. But that's the only one that really stands out in particular.
Yeah, I want to get a Switch, and I want to play the Zelda and the Mario, and now the Tetris that you mentioned,
All of it.
and the Mario Kart. I want to play it all.
Oh, is that on Switch? Oh God, there goes all my time.
Yeah.
Oh.
What about the serious, like more mature games like Doom and Skyrim and Dark Souls Remaster and all that coming to the Switch?
Yes, Dark Souls Remaster. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
conflicted. I don't know if I want that on the Switch or if I want it on like PC yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm worried about how it would. Yeah, how would you play it on the Joy-Con? I don't think it would feel that comfortable.
Right. But like
Yeah.
the prospect of being able to play Dark Souls on like a bus is incredible, or like on
That
a
is.
plane. That's the whole thing. And at least from what I've heard, you have the loyalty thing. If you did own it, like on PC, like you'll get it for a discount, which is kind of cool. As
Oh,
well.
Oh,
really?
really?
Yep.
That's
Oh,
neat.
shoot.
Wait, is that for any platform you choose to get it on?
I don't know.
man.
I can't confirm that, but that's what I've heard.
Because I had it on PC. Interesting.
So if it's cheap enough, maybe I'll just buy it on both.
Oh, did anybody play Okami HD?
Oh, that's
Nope.
on my list. It's on my backlog. I really want to
That
play
just came out, right? 2017?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another one I want to play. I never played the original.
That's
I
on
never
my
played
list.
it either, and I bought it back on the Wii, and I think I found it for £10. I was like, this is a good deal, and then it's just sat there for who knows how long, and now there's a HD version. So yeah, I'd like to eventually get around to that.
Nice.
Well, then that's it. What about stuff that you know is coming out this year that you're interested in? And if not tackling this year, then it's definitely adding to your backlog.
Well, there's a
Not
lot
even-
of good stuff.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves.
I
Hmm.
I saw
See
the
if the-
trailer for that.
I'm interested in. I like games you can play with your community or with other streamers and stuff like that. So
Ship combat.
yeah, ship combat, pirates. Who does like pirates?
What
We are
about
the pirates.
Monster Hunter World?
I am gonna get lost in that game 100%. Can't wait for it.
Because
I've never
many
played
of
a
you
Mon
tried
Hunt
the
game
beta?
either.
the console
Never
comes
touched
out
one.
this month.
I tried the
console
beta.
version.
I played the beta for an hour. I'm like, I'm putting this down because I don't want to play any more of it because I want to experience the full game. I am sold. Give it to me.
Yeah.
It just feels like Dark Souls a little bit, and it's so pretty and it's so good. I can't wait.
The issue for me is I want to play it on PC, but you're not going to get it on PC till like the
Like
fall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh. Like, do I
Just buy it
like,
again.
So do I wait or do I play it on PS4 next week? So
Yeah,
I think it's
I'm-
next Friday, like a week from
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm aiming for the PC version, even though it's not going to be for like months, just because I already have so much I'm focusing on now. I can't
Yeah.
quite dive into it. I mean, I could, but I feel like I would just drop everything, and that's not, for me, scheduling it. It just works out better that way. But
Yeah.
I did play the beta last month, and I did it. We did some multiplayer with the community, and it was actually quite fun. I've never played Monster Hunter before, and it's
The issue-
it has that Dark Souls vibe, but you're also playing with other people and taking down giant monsters together. You know, so that's kind of really cool. So
Yeah, the issue with the beta for me was it like, and I'm new to the Monster Hunter series as well. Like, it didn't give you a sense of like what the game was going to be like progression and character wise, you know, because it was literally like
Mhm.
like just three. There was 3 missions, and you're already fully equipped, and you just go hunt that one monster, go hunt that other monster, and go hunt that third monster. So it's hard for me to get a sense of what the game is going to be like overall. But I was definitely impressed with the combat and the visuals and stuff like that. So I'll probably be giving it a shot very soon. Yeah, and Sea of Thieves comes out in March, I think. So,
Are you in the alpha for that?
I haven't. I got invited like last week. I haven't checked it out yet. Yeah. Did you play it?
I got into it as well. So, like, side note, hey, if you want to like test the multiplayer together, you like, I know you're in it now. Let's do that up sometime.
Okay. Sounds good.
There's a lot of remasters coming. We talked about Dark Souls 1 remaster. I know Assassin's Creed Rogue is actually getting a remaster. And because Ubisoft announced it, it's now on my backlog. I was on the fence about Rogue. We already talked about Assassin's Creed, but Rogue is the one where you defect and become a Templar instead of an assassin. So it's interesting. We shall see how that goes. So that's on. I'm looking forward to that. The AC Rogue remaster comes out in March,
Okay.
I think. Dark Souls 1 remaster is May.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When is Bayonetta 3 coming out? Is that this year?
Is it?
I don't know if they put a year on it or not. It's
Yeah, it was just
announced for
announced,
Switch,
Yeah.
right?
Switch exclusive.
Oh yeah, the 1 and 2, the port is coming out sometime this year, right? On the Switch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still haven't
What
played
else?
Bayonetta.
Oh, so good.
Bye.
I know they released the Steam PC port just last year. And
Yeah.
that was
There you
I
go.
added it to my backlog, but I just haven't gotten to it.
Wait, is the Steam version only the first game though? No,
Only
right?
the first
Not-
game,
Yeah.
yeah.
The second one's Nintendo only, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
If 1 and 2, I think, coming released at the same time, so that would be good too.
Yeah, I think Nintendo actually funded Bayonetta 2, which is why it was exclusive to the Wii U. And it looks like it's kind of fun to see them almost embracing Bayonetta as this Nintendo mascot, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I've never played any of them, but I'm looking forward to checking it out eventually and getting around to playing it.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
Right. I was really surprised because it's a very like mature-ish game, and Nintendo usually isn't hand in hand with that kind of stuff. So it was really interesting. I was kind of surprised.
I don't know if it's actually been announced for this year or not. I can't remember, but Shin Megami Tensei 5 on the Switch as well. So looking forward to checking that out. It'll be my first time playing a mainline SNT game. I've only played Persona before, and I know they're very different. They're a lot more stark and kind of a little more, I guess, grindy and hardcore. But even so, I've really gotten into the whole SNT aesthetic and stuff. So I'm looking forward to checking that out whenever it comes out.
Oh yeah, Nino Kuni 2. Is that coming out this year?
I
Mhm.
think so, yeah.
Right, March or something like that?
I know it was delayed, but I don't know when the original launch was meant to be anyway. So
Yeah, I would like to check that out too.
Oh, there's so many good games coming out.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
What about A Way Out? Anybody else? Is that on
What's A
anybody's
Way
radar?
Out?
Is that
I've
the
not heard
co-op
of that.
game?
Yes, it's developers that did Brothers Tale of Two Sons, which was unbelievable. If you haven't played
Isn't that the
game,
one you mentioned? That's the one that made you cry on stream.
absolutely.
It's like the one that made
lose-
you
like,
cry. Like, you
lose
didn't
it,
cry
like,
at anything else, but that game made you cry.
But you can finish it in one stream, and there is never been a game that has such a connection to the controls of the game to the story. Like it's unbelievable. So you definitely want to play with the controller if you play it, and I'm not going to spoil anything. But the twist for A Way Out, which I think comes out in March, is it's a co-op only game, from what I understand. You have to play it with two people. And it's two I think they might be brothers or two people that are trying to break out of a prison of some sort. So I don't know much about it, except I'm all on board with the developer because the first game is, well, not the first game, but their other game is amazing. So looking forward to that.
It's
And that
definitely
comes out
going
this
to be
year?
cool. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
coming out this year?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
I
it's
need to
March.
make a list. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
The great part is that's online co-op. Like there isn't a lot of games that come out that have, a single player with like the co-op integrated with that, which is
Yeah, it's March 23rd. It comes out.
something else I'm looking forward to is Mario Tennis on the Switch. And
Yes,
I have
I
a lot
didn't-
of good memories of Mario Tennis on the N64 because my neighbors had Mario Tennis and we had GoldenEye. And I think there was a mutual understanding. We didn't necessarily want to hang out with each other. We just wanted to play each other's games that we owned. And yeah, we would always be around like, we want to play some Mario Tennis. Can we play with you guys? But yeah, genuinely, they're always fun games. Played them on the GameCube as well. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, same.
I'm looking forward to Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which is actually one of my all-time favorite games. It's probably my favorite platforming. It's so good.
It's really good. I wish I didn't play it on hard, I think.
Yeah, I remember that struggle.
I actually was more salty at Ori and the Blind Forest than Cuphead, which is unbelievable because it's too hard on hard.
It's such a good game. I think I played it on normal, but it's such a good game.
Mm-hmm. That was.
And the sequel should be coming out this year.
Yeah.
Oh wow! When? You know when?
I don't know when, but it's called Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So just keep an eye out. It's apparently coming out this year. I just don't know when.
Oh, TBA. I don't think they know yet.
It's probably more towards the end of the year is my guess. But it's an excellent game. The mechanics, if you like any kind of Metroidvania type of platforming, it's great. You evolve, you get all these skills, and they really I mean I haven't played a lot of platformers, and so I don't really have experience with that, but I was impressed with all the stuff you could do as you got more and more abilities, you know, and you it's not just your standard jump up on a platformer, you know. There's all sorts of situations and plus the artwork and the music. I love the music.
It's one of those games that does like everything right, you know. You can't believe what you're seeing, you can't believe what you're hearing. The gameplay is fun and it's got a story, so it's like, what? Like, this is awesome. Yeah. So definitely play it if you haven't.
I'm super looking forward to that.
Another one I was looking forward to is The World Ends With You on the Switch. It's like is that a remaster of the DS version, or is that I think it is a re-release.
Maybe. I'm only familiar with it because they actually introduced a few characters from that in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. And I was like, who are these people? And people were like, it's from this game called The World Ends With You. And I was like, people are telling me I should play it. So if that's coming out this year, then I might have to consider that.
Yeah. And also Kirby. There's a new Kirby game coming out.
Please be difficult. Please be super easy. Kirby's like my favorite character from Nintendo, but every game is like so... It's so easy, so childish. Like, give me some a little harder, please.
I've never played a Kirby game before, but I'm planning to play that one, so that'll be my first Kirby one. Hopefully it's a good one.
Yes. I would highly recommend the NES Kirby game. Yeah, Kirby's Adventure. That's my favorite.
I like the SNES one personally, a lot.
Oh, is that not the Triple Deluxe? It's the Superstar.
Yeah, Superstar. It's like 9 games in one.
Right. Yeah, that's good too. The Epic Yarn. I have a soft spot for Epic Yarn. Super easy game, but it's.
I was gonna say that's the thing. I was like, it was beautiful, but I couldn't play it. It was just like mind numbing.
Yeah, you can't die. You can't die in the game. But
another one I'm looking forward to is Yoshi on the Switch. I don't know if that's actually going to be this year. I think it is. But they've been showing previews of it and stuff, and it looks pretty cute. And Yoshi's Island was one of my favorite games as a kid.
Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, always looking forward to it. A new Yoshi game.
Yes, I can't wait. I like the Yarn, Yoshi's, the Yarn one. That was fun too.
Yeah, the visuals on that look amazing. I haven't played it, but yeah.
Apparently, Code Vein is supposed to be this year too, from Software. Don't know if you guys. It's more on the anime side. I don't know.
Do you know what else From Software make? I'm not really familiar with it.
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
Right.
Bloodborne, yeah. So I don't know. At least it was on the list of upcoming in 2018. It's their new IP, their new intellectual property.
Seems worth checking out.
Yeah, I mean, I still need to look more into it, but apparently it's set for this year on PC release at least. I don't know if I assume it's coming on console as well, but
on the one hand, it's amazing to get the pipeline of games you guys are looking forward to, because I've already been adding like stuff to my list, but on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know, will I ever get to these?
Right.
There's so many. What I have to talk about for 2018, because it's like a personal, like, sentimental thing for me, is I I played Bard's Tale a lot as a kid. All right, and I'm not talking about the remake Bard's Tale with Carrie Elways as a voice actor. I'm sure it's a good game. I never played it. I'm talking about this one. I'm talking about 1985. This one, yes, and inside I have these archaic life forms. Well, not really life forms, but archaic artifacts. I actually have a floppy here.
What are those? I don't know.
These are floppies. So I played this game with my dad, sitting side by side, and then they didn't have auto map feature in it. You literally had to get graph paper, and one person could sit there and map out the dungeon. The other person would go through it, because otherwise you get lost. You'd never be able to beat the game. You had to map them out. I love the Bard's Tale games. Turn-based combat, party combat, and there was a Kickstarter which I helped fund, and apparently it's supposed to be releasing in 2018, and it's going to have a lot of like retro vibe to it, but it's going to be like a beautiful like rendered world and stuff like that. But they're going to keep that party-based, turn-based combat in it and stuff like that. So I am super, super excited. I'll be streaming the hell out of that game. So I got to mention Bard's Tale 4. It's Bard's Tale 4. It's coming out 2018. So
I have two games. Sorry, Snow.
No, it's fine.
2 games this year. One next week. Dragon Ball Fighter Z that's coming out. I'm not like really good at fighting games, but I love a very like visually stunning fighting game, and that is definitely it. If they can get the servers, like I said, they get those working, because they had an open beta this last week and it didn't work at all. But you're able to do some of the trial. It literally looks like it's ripped straight from the anime, and it's so visually stunning, and it's pretty easy to get into. But I'm really looking forward to that next week, which sadly comes out at Monhunt, so probably a ton of marathon streams between those 2 games. And the other one would be God of War 4 is coming out, which looks like a complete reestablishing of the game, and that seems to be kind of a thing that's happening a lot with like Tomb Raider and Resident Evil, kind of going and changing direction with these games. And God of War 4 looks really, really interesting. We're getting a different kind of game with that one, so I'm looking to see what they do with that one.
See, I haven't played any of the God of War games, but they look good. And Diz, my boyfriend, always tells me you should play them because he's played them and he likes them. So that's really cool.
Another one would be Detroit Become Human. I think that's meant to be this year, but that's a Quantic Dream game. So the people who made Heavy Rain, I know people have their issues with Quantic Dream and how they do stuff and whatever, but they're still fun, and they're like little interactive movies, and they're quite, Heavy Rain was quite intense in parts. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that and seeing what they do with it.
Totally forgot about that game. I can't wait
didn't
for
know
that one.
the people who made Heavy Rain are making that.
Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is, yeah.
That's cool. I'll have to actually consider it then. Because people asked me and I was like, I don't know much about it. But I know I've heard good things about Heavy Rain. I actually haven't played it yet. It's still on my backlog. But
it's worth a play, I would say. It's still, it's still a good game.
Yeah, that and Beyond Two Souls. Anything made by David Cage is really interesting.
So
this isn't one I'm necessarily like super hyped for, but I think it's worth a shout, is Project Octopath Traveler. Which is kind of has more of an old school kind of RPG vibe to it. And I know there was a demo of it as well, which I'm kind of lukewarm on it. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not necessarily like, oh my God, I can't wait to play it or anything. But it looks decent. It looks like it might be a good playthrough. So
is that on the
as well? Yeah.
So something that people suggested, things that may not necessarily have gotten an announcement for coming out this year or anything like that. Just kind of like a wish list, and don't mention Half-Life 3. It's probably on somebody's wish list out there, but just anything that may or may not be coming out this year that you would like to see. Kingdom Hearts 3, cough. I really want it, but I have a feeling it's not going to be this year.
Similar for me with Shenmue 3 as well, 3. Which they've said for this year, but it was meant to be last year or something, wasn't it? I don't know. It doesn't really look like it's at a level of completion to be this year, to be honest, but we'll see, maybe.
It's tough.
For me, Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh,
yeah, I forgot about that one.
There was like small hope it was coming out this year, but it probably won't come out till next year. But it seems like we all love Witcher 3. Why not just throw that?
I feel like it's going to be even later than next year. because I feel like they would have kind of at least showed a teaser of some sort by this time, you know?
Well, they've been working on it forever. There's
Yeah.
been a group working on it. That's where we got like a lot of the stuff. So I don't think it's gonna come out for a while, like you said, but
Hopefully before
I can dream it.
2077.
Definitely on the wish list.
there you go.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, CD Projekt Red. Can't wait to see what they come up with next. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, and I prefer strict fantasy, you know, to anything cyberpunk, but I'm on board just from, you know, the developer. So
I'm the other way around. Like I'm more into the kind of sci-fi style stuff. So that's actually getting me kind of excited. I know we've not really seen much about it or anything, but that's definitely something that's on my radar at least.
We talked about this one earlier too, and it's probably not gonna be for a couple years as well, is Death Stranding.
Yep.
I'd like that as well.
I was about to mention that because people were talking about it in chat, but like outside of the who's the main actor they're basing it off of? The motion
Norman
capture.
Reedus.
Who?
Norman
Daryl.
Reedus.
Daryl Dixon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's just I don't know. The it looks really good, but I have no idea what it's about. You know,
Well,
and I
that's
don't.
the thing.
You never
Yeah.
asked what a Kojima game is
No,
about.
No one knows. That's the best part.
No
You're
one
not
knows
gonna
what it's
you're gonna play the game and not understand it until maybe like 10 times through.
So it's one of those. I'm curious, but I can't say it's necessarily on my radar, on like my backlog yet. So, but I'm curious.
Yeah, it's interesting what like just a trailer or two can get to do to you know garner that kind
So
of
I
hype.
like that though, because so many trailers nowadays tell you a little bit too much, whether it's a movie trailer or a game
Yes,
trailer.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And,
those
like,
trailers
yeah.
done right when they just make you like, oh, okay, I wonder what that is. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to give a shout out to something I'm actually really excited for this year, which is they already did a HD re-release, but now they're doing another HD re-release with VR on the PS4 for Zone of the Enders, the second runner, and the first one as well. But I mean, that one's not one of my favorites. But yeah, one of the games I'm like incredibly affectionate towards is the second runner, and I'm really looking forward to that. Please check it out. It's such a beautiful game, and
What
I'm
is it?
hoping it's by Kojima as well. That's what made me think of it. So the dude who made Metal Gear Solid, but it's like a mech style game. So it's kind of more sci-fi. But for me, it's like being the only mech game I've ever played that has done mech like exceptionally well and made it really beautiful, and it's generally pretty awesome. So I'm hoping some more people will check that out who necessarily might not know it.
What's the name of the game?
Zone of the Enders.
Zone of the Enders. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of it actually.
No, neither have I.
Me neither. No.
It's pretty
There's something
low-key.
about I don't really know the history on it, but it was something about people only bought it because it came with a demo disc of Metal Gear Solid 2 or something like that, and that's why like no one really knows it because people were just too hyped on Metal Gear at the time. And unfortunately, now that Kojima has left Konami, I don't think we'll ever see another Metal Gear game. And the original HD re-release flopped because they did a really bad job on it, and that made them decide that they would not make any more, which is unfortunate because, you know, I think it's the kind of game that would be perfect to bring up to current standard graphics. But anyway, I digress.
Sadly, there is another Metal Gear Solid game coming out this year, and it's just Konami, from my understanding, making a Left 4 Dead 2 style survival game with Metal Gear Solid characters since they own it. So they're just going to destroy it. But
I'm curious
Metal
because
Gear
I've never played
Survive?
Metal Gear. Why is that
Yeah, Metal Gear Survive.
a sad thing?
because
Is it-
Kojima, like, it's all about the story, right? And it's all about the characters, and they're literally just doing an asset, like just throwing it in there. There's gonna be like nothing that has Kojima's like style or whatever. You know, he was that game, and they're just literally trying to cash it in.
Just milking it for what it's
Yep.
worth.
Because Konami is great.
I do want to play Metal Gear Solid. That's one of the games I want to play this year. I've never
Have you
played
never
Metal-
played it before?
I've
No,
never
never
played Metal
played
Gear
it.
Solid either.
Nope.
Any of the series.
Oh, you really should. They're such good games, and just some of the stuff they do in it is just so amusing and unusual that I think you'd enjoy it.
People
I'm
literally
excited.
put her hand up in the air like, oh my god.
It's so good. The reason that made me want to say this question, I keep like going on about this all the time, but I really like my wish list item. My number one wish list would be to see Katamari ported to the Switch or another Katamari game made. I know it's like a weird topic because the dude who created Katamari, Keita Takahashi, he doesn't work for Namco anymore, and I don't know if they would, again, a similar thing with Kojima. I don't know. It's like they've continued to make games without him there, and I know he's not too pleased about that, but I don't know. I just love Katamari a lot, and I streamed it last year, and I finished Katamari Forever this year. And the amount of people who don't know what it is makes me really, really sad, because it's such a good game, and like I want more people to get into it. It feels perfect for the Switch because it's that kind of chill out, you can pick up and play for a bit kind of game. So that would be like, if they bring me that, I'll be so happy.
I don't think they've released Katamari outside of Sony though, because I just finished Touch My Katamari, which is on the PS Vita.
Yeah,
and that was a lot of fun. But I think they tend to stick more towards Sony.
Yeah, they do. That's the thing. That's why like I don't really think it'll happen. I mean, Takahashi tweeted himself recently, like basically along the lines of, I hope they do like a HD port of the Katamari games. So if he's hoping for it, I'm sure plenty of people are. But yeah, I mean, I just personally would really like it on the Switch, but I don't know.
Oh, there was one on the 360, Jazz. Jazz mentioned there was on the
Beautiful Katamari, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the Katamari series.
So what exactly, as somebody who's never played Katamari or heard of it, what exactly is the series of games about? Or like the premise?
You might be familiar with it if you saw pictures of it, but it's like these cute little derpy characters that roll a big ball, and as you roll it, all stuff sticks to it and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But you kind of have different objectives that like sometimes it's telling you like, oh, we need to like keep a fire going and we'll put it on top of this pyre or whatever and things like that. But it's just the style of it. It's really sort of cute, but a little bit weird as well. And just reading, like, all the items you roll up, you can read descriptions for, and even the little descriptions for the items are just kind of funny and amusing. And it's one of those really de-stressing kind of games. You're just sort of rolling everything up, and it's just really beautiful to look at. It's one of the things that I think is so why everyone should check it out is from a sort of game dev perspective, just what you can do with gaming as a platform that's not like any other game. It's just really its own thing that's just really thought outside of the box. That's what makes it so fascinating to me.
I remember
I've seen it before. Yeah,
I remember this is a long time ago. I don't know what the first of these games was, but I rented it from Blockbuster Video. I mean, that's
rentals.
Going back. And I remember, like, I had no idea what the game was, and I started playing it. My brother came over. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just kind of rolling around, and things are sticking to me, and just I'm getting bigger." And I guess she's like, "What are you supposed to do?" I'm like, "I have no idea." And that's all I did until I had to return it. Just rolled around.
Yeah, the first game came out in 2004. So
yeah, that's probably the one I played.
Yeah, and the soundtrack is just so catchy, and just the music is really fun too. Got this kind of like anime style J-pop kind of soundtrack going on in the background while you're rolling up stuff. It's fun. I love it.
I need to add it to my backlog.
That rolls me into see what I did there. Another game that I'm looking forward to by the dude who made Katamari, called Watam, which they're kind of doing it as an independent studio, and they've been working on it for a really long time now, and I'm really looking forward to it. But it to me kind of looks like a weird spiritual successor to Nobby Nobby Boy, and I don't really expect anybody to know Nobby Nobby Boy, but I love it a lot. It's just this really silly, almost like I'd be hesitant to call it a game exactly, where you just stretch this little dude and eat things and he poops them out, and it's just, again, just really chill and weird and cute. And I love Nobby Nobby Boy, and yeah, I'm looking forward to Watam as well. Maybe it will come out this year, I'm not too sure, but that's definitely one that I will be playing when it comes out.
So what do you guys think of BioWare's next game, Anthem?
Oh, is that this year?
Scared, terrified.
You're scared and terrified?
I mean, look at EA's track record this last 6 months. Like,
True.
Like, if it gets EA-ified, I don't see it doing well. But
yeah. I was excited when that was announced because the gameplay looked awesome.
Yeah.
So I just hope they don't hurt it and kill it and stuff like that. BioWare was awesome at one point. We could return there, I believe. So I'm
not familiar with what that is. What is it?
It's a multiplayer, like, action role-playing game. It kind of reminds me a lot of Destiny 2.
Yep.
It's kind of like that vibe. futuristic. You wear these suits called javelins. That's how you kind of change like your class and your abilities and stuff like that. You literally get into a suit that, you know, it's kind of like a mech suit of some sort. But yeah, the trailer from, what was it, E3? Showing some actual gameplay from it was like, wow, that looks pretty fun. Pretty fun.
Yeah, all I know is the mech suit thing, because I watched that gameplay trailer from E3 as well, and you were going through like a forest, right? I think it was, and
yeah, your suit can fly through the forest, and then you can dive down into the water with it and come out, and you know, it looked pretty cool.
It's on my like the edge of my radar, because I feel like I need to know more.
Yeah.
Oh.
Another one like that is Biomutant for me. I again only have really a trailer to go off of, but it's an RPG. Who's making that? I think it's a Swedish company. Biomutant. Yeah, Experiment 101, a Swedish developer, coming out in 2018 for PS4, Xbox One, and Windows. Watch the trailer for that. It's an action role-playing video game. What do they call it? It's a unique martial arts styled combat system allowing you to mix melee shooting and mutant ability action. And really, visuals on that are just like mind-blowing too.
It's not a series I've personally played, but I know a lot of people are looking forward to Red Dead Redemption 2.
I was
I don't
just
know if that's
looking at that.
something you guys have played.
I still need to play the first one.
Add it to the backlog, Snow.
I know.
You don't have enough at this point.
But the only way I can play it is if I get like PS Now, because I don't have a PS3. Because it was, you know, sadly, it's not like redone for PS4. But I do want to play it because I've heard it's really good. And then the second one's coming out, which is even better.
Yeah, I've seen bits of the first one and I've seen people playing parts of it, and it does genuinely look really good. It's just one of those ones that kind of slipped under my radar, I guess you would say, so I never got around to playing it, but who knows, maybe before the second one comes out.
Yeah.
It's definitely great because, like, if you like Rockstar games and their storytelling, that game is no different. It's really, they spin a good yarn. Rockstar does. So if you like good stories, that's definitely the game to play.
What is the original one on?
PS3, Xbox 360.
You can't play it on PS4.
You have to get a subscription of PS Now, which is separate from PS Plus. PS Now lets you play older stuff like from PS3 and back. That's redone for PS4 or available.
That's separate?
Or something. Yeah, it's separate.
What?
That's crazy.
It's a
It's
separate
like, is PS Now like their streaming service almost? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna like try to buy it for like 1 month and try to finish that game in that 1 month and then stop the subscription because yeah.
Yeah. I actually did that to play the Monster Hunter beta, and I forgot to stop it, and now I'm got
PS Plus
another month. I'm like, come on, exactly why they do that stuff.
I mean, now you got to buy it on PS4. You got to, make up for that subscription cost.
That's right. They get you. That's how they get you.
I'm looking through like the games of 2018 and like some of the stuff I saw at E3 that I didn't even know was coming out this year. The new Spider-Man game that's coming out.
Oh yeah, that look cool.
That looks really cool if you're into like action games. Also made by Insomniac, so it looks really good. And then Metro Exodus, if you're into those games, is also coming out this year. I know a lot of people are excited for as well.
Yeah, some members of my community keep telling me to play the Metro series, and I don't know. There's something like I'm like it's one of those games that I feel like I probably would like it, but I can't get excited to boot it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt the same way about that. I noticed it when it was announced and I thought, oh, this looks like something I might enjoy, but it just kind of slipped away and I've not really felt like I want to start it up. I don't know, but they're supposed to be good, so.
Yeah.
Wait, is The Last of Us 2 supposed to be this year?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another big one.
That's
Holy
huge.
moly.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be so good.
God, this year's gonna be so good. Like overall, like I didn't realize how many good games are coming out. I thought like 2017 was pretty good, but wow. I mean,
There's already a lot of things I'm looking forward to this year, so.
do you guys think there's like too many remasters? Because I'm just looking, I totally forgot Shadow of the Colossus is being remastered as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I never played the original, but then I think they announced did they announce the remaster a while ago?
Last
recently.
year, I think, right?
Yeah, so I figured I would just wait for that.
Yeah.
It comes out February 6th, though. Totally.
But I don't necessarily mind the remasters though, because as Snowy pointed out, sometimes you can't play all the games unless you've got the console, and not everybody has it. So I don't know. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be bringing things back, so people can still play them now.
I agree. It'll be good.
Folks in
I don't
chat,
think the
it's only
Final Fantasy VII
January.
remakes this year.
Folks in chat say it's only January. My wallet's already crying. Oh,
Right.
man.
I know everybody in my community is getting sick of me saying this, but hear me out. What we need that is not announced: WarioWare on Switch. I really want WarioWare. I want a new
Yes.
WarioWare game. Like, they were so fun. They're just silly little mini games with, like, again, a really cool art style, really good music. And, I don't think there's ever been a WarioWare game where you can play online with other people. And the thought of playing that with viewers would be actually really fun.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things, like, again, it's not this big, interesting title, but I would really, really like to play it again. And I just thought back to that. We used to play it on the GameCube, and it was some of the most fun I ever had on a game with friends. So, yeah, I would love to see that this year. If they surprise us with that, that would be awesome.
And they can incorporate the Joy-Cons too, which would be awesome.
So much fun to like play that on the couch with your friends, like, and you've played it and they haven't, and a little mini game comes up for literally like 2 seconds, and you beat them in it because they have no idea like what the hell they were supposed to do. And you're like,
As someone who's never played,
happened?
like, what is WarioWare? Like in a nutshell.
It's basically like it's competitive. It's there's these little mini games that last anywhere from like 2 to 5 seconds, and there's a little objective that you have to do within that time period. So if it's like shove a finger up this guy's nose, like you have to put the finger inside the nose. It's comical. It's really funny. And depending on what console, there were some for GBA, DS, even for the Wii. So with the Wii, you use the Wii mode and say like balance the ball on this racket, and you have to move the Wii mode accordingly. And the more games you clear, it gets faster and faster.
right. Did you ever play Dumb Ways to Die on your cell phone?
What was it?
I've seen it, yeah.
it.
Dumb Ways to Die. Well, it's kind of like that, but it's you play it multiplayer.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
But I can see how it wouldn't work online, just I guess due to like lag and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. If there was some way, it would be awesome. But I mean, either way, I just want it back again. I want it back.
Does anybody else have a really long backlog, or is it just me? It's not just me. Right?
I think we all do.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I feel
this
like
podcast.
I thought my backlog was already long enough, and then we have stuff we've mentioned during this show that I'm like, oh, I need to add that too, and that and that, and oh.
It's weird. I have like a huge backlog, but when I finish up like a couple games that I'm playing, I always have this like, what do I play next? You know, it's like I've got so much, but at the same time, I can't decide what to play. So I feel like sometimes there's an opening and plenty of things to fill it with, but I become undecisive and don't know what to do. It's weird.
It's
Mine's
hard.
mostly really old games as well. Like, I mean, I say I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, but I've still not played 1, 2, 3, 6. I mean, I recently completed 9, got halfway through 4 and 5, got halfway through 8. So yeah, there's still loads of those I want to get through. I mean, that's the thing of it. It's almost hard to get excited for new releases because there's just so much old stuff I still want to sit and play through that I don't know. It's almost a little overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna mention like how do you go about choosing a game, because you want to play something that's like kind of new, kind of fresh, bring in viewers to your stream, but at the same time, you know, you got all these old ones that are like on your backlog for years at this point, right?
Yeah, no, that's I struggle with that exact thing all the time. Like I try to think, like, because you want to bring you want to cater to your community, right? And you want them to be, you know, happy. And there's plenty of games that I could stream that my current viewers would be excited about. But in the back of my mind, I'm always like, well, how would somebody that's never seen my channel before find me if I'm playing XYZ game?
Right.
You know, and that I struggle with a lot. Like my community's been wanting me to play Dragon's Dogma, which I've never played.
Oh,
And
people
it's a
mention that to
fantasy
me
game.
too.
And it's a fantasy game, and I played a little bit of it offline just to see what it was like, and it seems really cool. But it's such an older game, and there's never anybody on Twitch, streaming it. And so on the one hand, you'd be the only streamer, but the other hand, how many people are typing in Dragon's Dogma every day? So I struggle with that all the time. I don't know what you guys have kind of figured out about it, but yeah, like I don't want to, and then I don't want to play like that's a beefy game. It's like 40 or 50 hours to play through it. I don't want to start it for a stream or two, realize I'm not gaining any followers or anything like that, and then stop, and then have that kind of a thorn in my side forever. So I struggle with that all the time. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts about how you kind of go through that.
It's hard. I don't know. Because I don't always play the newest releases myself. Sorry, she's doing her thing.
Sure.
But, like, it's at the same time, I feel like, I mean, it's taken me years to get to this point where I have a solid enough community that thankfully comes to the stream for me and not for the game. So it helps that, we used to have that. But at the same time, how do you bring in new traffic? That's the challenge. Especially with these new releases and new games. Because you don't want to stream a game on release day, because guess what? You're buried, right?
You're buried. Yep, absolutely.
So at the same time, you don't want to wait like, months and months and then lose that hype wave of viewers, And so I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. It's just kind of one of the unfortunate things of Twitch. I mean, I'm still maybe retaining like 2% hope that one day they'll do something about it, that it's a bit easier. I mean, there's the communities thing now as well, which is a bit of an improvement to find people based on the type of thing they're doing rather than necessarily the particular game. Because personally, I find it quite hard to browse. I often like sit there and I'm all like, there's not really a particular game I want to watch. I just want to find a certain type of person or whatever. So it is a struggle. I do generally try and mix in newer stuff with older stuff to make sure there's a bit of a balance in that sense. But it's also just something you have to accept. Like I play pretty much constantly, at least one of the games I'm playing at any given time will be an older game. And I just kind of accept that I'm playing it for me. And it's not necessarily that I'm going to get new people coming in. What is nice is that when you do play something that's purely because like you really want to play it, even if you only get 5 people following you throughout the entire playthrough, who are interested in the game, that's 5 people who like something the same as you. And, I found some fantastic people who are members of our community through doing that. So, I mean, it's numbers versus quality sometimes. I don't know. It's a difficult trade sometimes.
Yeah.
Personally, I was kind of on the train of not streaming a game when it's brand new, but this last year it's just been, I've really embraced it and just playing it right away. Because there used to be not that many people in some directories, and you could like wait a week or two and kind of pick up on that. And it still kind of works, but I find it way more beneficial because a lot of people want to know what the new game's like. So before they buy, you get a lot of people that haven't maybe come around the stream in a long time, and they want to check the game out, and then you get to catch them again. They get to catch you again and see the channel and stuff. So I personally like it, and it still brings in quite a lot of foot traffic because, like as you said, Bog, like. It's really hard to commit to a game when it's like no one's in the directory because no one's scrolling through that list past a couple pages, except for the people that might follow the channel and be like, hey, someone's playing Dragon's Dogma? Heck yeah, I'm going to be there for that.
Right.
But how many people do that though? Not very many.
2.
Yeah, like probably 2. Yeah. Like Bill and Jeff, man, they love Dragon's Dogma. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And like also, there's also the streaming on release day thing like you guys were discussing. The added thing is if I stream like right when it comes out, then I might have people that are loyal that watch every single one of my streams that don't want spoilers then. So then I lose
that's
them.
true too.
So it's like a constant like balance of, all right, so what I've been doing mostly is telling people I am going to stream like Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm going to wait 1 week. If you want to watch me play it and don't want spoilers, you better play that crap out of that game, that first week. So that seems to work a little bit. So it's not that it, you still have a little bit of the release hype, still let your community kind of get ahead of you. And I don't know, but it's all a guessing game of what works and what doesn't.
The way I've approached it is like the reason I play each game only one day each week, because it may mean I take forever to finish it, but then 5 months into playing Breath of the Wild, someone comes in and is like, oh, I finished this game. Hey, guys. And it's kind of nice that it's giving them the chance to come in and see me play it for a bit, because I'm still playing it and then I'll finish with it. And that's happened with stuff like Persona 5. Again, some people were not wanting spoilers, but they came in a few months later once I'd finished. So it kind of works out in that sense.
Yeah, I do the same thing as people. I was actually going to say, Dai probably struggles with this all the time as a retro variety caster. People aren't looking up retro games constantly.
Yeah.
And having to, but I mean, some retro games do get kind of remasters or like their more recent iterations come out, you know, and so I don't know if that helps you.
Or like just some series just have a big following, like if you play Zelda or any Nintendo IPs, you know, those usually are good. But if I start going off, like I was just playing Soul Blader, right? Soul Blazer in America. Then I went, there was a trilogy of games, Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terra Enigma. And I did, you know, when I did that, I guess it's a known game, but it's a lesser known game. So I guess with that I struggle with numbers with that too, because those are not as popular, I guess, as compared to a Mario or a Zelda game.
Sure.
So, but I guess it just goes back to I want to try, I want to play it, so I do it kind of thing. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I guess I have to be enjoying the game, or you know, that's why I do it.
So there's
but still, it's a struggle.
Yeah, I can only imagine. It's kind of I see it because a lot of us, you know, we play the modern releases, but the people who specialize in retro and a lot of really older games, I have mad respect for, because it's harder to grow. I mean, it's already hard enough to grow as variety in modern games and stuff. So, and we have a question here from No Drog about canceled games. I don't know if you guys know of any games that got canceled that were supposed to come out, if not this year, then soon, but they were just like, nope. I don't know if anybody knows of any, but like, I just thought I would pitch that question because I can't think of any that I know were canceled.
Well, I don't know when it was supposed to come out, but EverQuest Next was the game I was looking forward to, and now it's defunct. Any MMO players? Anyone?
I actually never heard of that. I mean, I know EverQuest, but was this going to be like a second EverQuest?
Yes. Well, yeah. I don't know. It was kind of confusing. Sony Online Entertainment was making EverQuest Next and EverQuest Landmark, which was kind of more of a sandboxy version. And they kind of put out these tools, and they were developing the two games alongside of each other. And then what did SOE kind of folded, and then it was developed by Daybreak, and then it got canceled completely. So that's kind of sucky. Yeah, there's a lot of EverQuest. You know, EverQuest was such a huge game for the MMO genre. You know, and you know, EverQuest 2 never quite had the success that EverQuest 1 did. So a lot of folks were looking forward to EverQuest Next, and now it's gone.
I'm trying to think of another one. When Visceral went away, they were working on a new Star Wars game, kind of in the vein of an Uncharted type game with Star Wars characters. But once they got bought out by EA, I think they got bought out, but no, it's published. I can't remember. I think they just collapsed it. They said no more of this game, but I think that was the only game that got canceled that in recent memory that I was kind of sad about. But we didn't know anything about it, so how can you be sad about a game you don't really know about? But the prospect of it was really interesting, I guess.
I think I heard stuff about that as well, and was totally excited. That's the kind of spin they need to do instead of these like big all-encompassing.
Right.
They need to scale it back and make it more about the characters, and you know, give us stories in the Star Wars world with characters we've never heard of before.
Yeah, like KOTOR and stuff like that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we need that kind of stuff again. Yeah.
Somebody talked about the Silent Hills. Was it PT? Or I don't know if it was PT.
Oh, how can I forget about that? Yeah, of course, because they did the PT trailer, or whatever you want to call it, which I did play through back whenever that came out. Yeah, really a shame. I do feel for Silent Hill fans because it's kind of been a rough ride, and like the HD versions weren't amazing or anything. Would like to see it come back again, just don't think it's really gonna happen, which is a bit sad. But who knows?
Well, I mean, that game kind of exists in a whole new way. It's Death Stranding at this point. It's the same people working on PT. It just kind of went a different direction. They're like, hey, we can do this. And it was kind of like a portfolio builder for Kojima to reach out to Sony, and Sony being like, here's money, make whatever you want. Here you go, have fun with it. So it was kind of a fun little, hey, tech demo kind of thing, you know?
We have Zeratil asking about Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's supposed to. I think that's coming out this year, to PC at least. But I saw a brief trailer in a collective coming out in 2018 video recently. But don't know if anybody has any interest in that.
Picking it up.
I can't say I have because I haven't seen enough of it. But it's. I don't know. I guess it hasn't drawn me in particular, based on what I've seen.
It's fantasy, so I like it.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up more.
So many
It's actually coming
games.
out in February. Oh, it's coming out soon, February 13th.
Oh, really soon then?
Yeah. We're less than a month away.
Yep. Anything else in 2018? There's so many games. Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I'm trying to get through my backlog of PlayStation games. So, yeah. Oh, gosh, I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't even know if I can-
I'm excited for the surprises. You know, there's always these games that we're looking forward to that are big.
Oh.
And then some indie game sneaks out of nowhere and knocks your socks off. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for those curveballs.
Yeah. A Secret of Mana remake.
Oh yeah.
Coming out, I think next month.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta look
I think
this up.
February 15th, I think, on Steam. But it does have a hefty price tag, but
Wait, how much is it?
$900. Oh,
$900.
yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the original Secret of Mana on the Super Nintendo. It doesn't look like a full HD remake. It looks like almost like a mobile port. Like I ported onto Steam.
Kind of what they did with some of the Final Fantasy games.
Right.
The previous one.
Like Final Fantasy 3 or 4, I think that had that
6 was the same way, I think, too, right? It was just a port from the mobile onto PC.
Right, but 5 and 6, Steam port it's the mobile, but it was fully 2D. 3 and 4 went 3D, but it had that very simplistic polygon look.
it says it's a fully 3D remake.
I was just seeing you guys mentioning Parasite Eve needs to make a comeback. I mean,
Yes.
before Parasite Eve makes a comeback, it needs to get released in Europe because it has still never been released in Europe. So that would be a start at least.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, crazy, right? I mean, I don't know why they don't just throw these games up on Steam or something, but yeah, if you want to play it, you need to like make a US account or something because
Wow.
you can't buy it.
Never say never, because Square is all about just putting it on PC now. So, hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
I've never played Parasite Eve, actually. So,
No, neither have I.
so many games. Oh, there's mention of Far Cry 5. We didn't mention that yet. I don't know if you
I
guys
haven't
have played Far Cry. I haven't.
I haven't played any of them.
But Far Cry 5 is coming out this year, isn't it? I
Mhm.
thought so.
I didn't even play the last one because they just seem like all the same game with like a different style, onto it, This one's set in the, primitive ages. This one's set here, and it's kind of like the same game with like a couple tweaks. So it's really hard to get excited about that, in my opinion. But I'll probably play it still,
Just to check it out.
especially if it's terrible, I guess.
That's it. You should be the I only stream terrible games.
No, I can't do it. Like I got to mix in like one every 20, throw in a bad one, just
Your
like
spirit will be crushed.
the reason. So I can really appreciate the good games. I got to have a palate cleanser, of the bad games.
Oh my gosh.
So good. Well, I guess we have, this is a general question. It's actually not at all related to the topic, but Alaska Winter was asking what conventions, if any, are you guys most looking forward to? Just as a general random Q&A.
I'm skipping PAX East this year for the first time in a long time. Kind of makes me sad, but I
I'm
can't.
skipping packs in general.
Yeah, like they're fun, but it's expensive and it's time away from stream. But yeah, TwitchCon's the only convention I'm going to be going to this year, so excited for TwitchCon.
Yeah, TwitchCon.
Whenever it is or wherever it is.
I'm hoping I'll make it to TwitchCon this year. It's kind of an aim to save up for it
I hope
because
so.
I was pretty bummed about not going last year. So I'm trying to save and anticipate it happening this year, and hopefully that will happen.
Plus, we have a Chillest meetup all the time. It's like an annual
Yeah.
thing now.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we get to team bonding. It's good. It's good. That was random. I
Bog.
know that was a random question in the middle of our video game talk, but
Bug, there's some East Coast ones that I'm planning to go to, like Play NYC, which is at Terminal 5 in New York City.
Oh yeah.
Also a video games con, which is in New Jersey,
Huh.
and also Too Many Games, which is in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia.
Send me some links on Discord if you wouldn't mind. I'd
Sure.
love to check them out.
Yeah, those are some of the ones I'm looking forward to because they're smaller and
Yeah.
much more affordable. Like, maybe $50 the whole weekend kind of thing.
Right. That'd be pretty cool.
And definitely TwitchCon, yes, for sure.
TwitchCon.
I think for myself, TwitchCon for sure, and then I think I'm gonna throw in a couple others like non-super huge ones that I've never been to, and I really plan on going to the Chicago meetup. That's kind of put out there. It's kind of a fan thing or whatever. I want to do that. That's put on by streamers. I want to go to that one, and I think a couple people I'm gonna meet up at SGDQ, which is really surprising. I've never been to it because I live like an hour away, and I've just never gotten the tickets because you have to get it like 2 weeks beforehand. It's always like, oh, it's happening, and then I don't do it, and then I can't get in. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like to go to the SGDQ this year.
Cool.
That's the thing. That's a bad thing about conventions. You got to plan ahead. You can't just be like, I want to go to a convention today. It doesn't
Right.
work well.
You
It
can't
doesn't
just
work.
show up.
Yeah. I remember when I was working in Manhattan, I tried to. I had no idea. How conventions were. I tried to do that for Comic-Con.
This Comic-Con thing's pretty neat. I'm just gonna show up to it.
Yeah.
That was funny. Good times.
So good. Well, anything else to add to our topic? 2017, 2018 video games. If there's anything, last thoughts? Because I know we covered a lot of games briefly.
I feel like as soon as this is over, we got to start working on all these games.
I know, right?
gonna have to
There's
make
not
this
enough
list.
time.
Yeah.
But well, I guess that this is one of our shorter episodes, but I think this is a good wrap up then. So, if you guys are wondering, this was episode 21 of the Chillest podcast, our gaming 2017 in review and upcoming in 2018. We're going to do another round of brief self introductions in case you guys missed out on who we are. Yeah, well, I guess we'll just get started, starting with Rom.
Hi, Rom. You've been here. I want to say first is like 2017 was such a good year, and I'm really excited for 2018. Like I didn't until this podcast actually like realize how good we had it last year and how many games I still have to play. Like that was the big thing. My backlog and everyone else's is so much bigger now because of this podcast. So thanks, Snow, for putting this together. And then I want to say thanks, Snow, putting on the podcast. Thank you very much for doing all that you do. Thank you very much. But otherwise, what I have coming up is I'm currently going through the billion-hour playthrough of Persona 5 right now. I'm like 30 hours in and I just beat the second palace. I don't know, Peebo or Snow, if that's good or bad, but I feel like it's taking me forever.
I'm even slower.
I did it on easy, and I think it took me about 130 hours.
All right, only 100 more hours to go. Perfect. So, like, it might be on my backlog for 2019 as well, because I'm going to be still going through it at that point. Otherwise, I've been playing that. I'm going to be playing Doki Doki on Saturday, and I'm really scared for that game.
Mature warning. Just make sure you warn your community.
I've been told that multiple times. I'm going to probably have a command in my chat to be like, hey, this deals with some mature scenarios and stuff. So I'm excited for that. And then I just did my first RP stream on Sunday, which went really well, in Rust, which was really fun. And yeah, just playing a little bit of everything, just trying to spread it out. So, hey, follow my channel if that sounds interesting to you.
As well.
Huh?
Mention your schedule as well. When do you stream?
I stream really late. So, like, if you aren't sleeping and you're somehow still on Twitch, like, hey, I'm probably streaming at some point in time. I stream from 8 p.m. Pacific to like 3 a.m. In the morning. So, I'm usually during the dead time.
Sweet. And then that goes to me next. I am Snowlit, the founder and leader of the Chillest. I do variety games focusing mostly on action-adventure RPGs and story-driven games. I'm currently working on my first playthroughs of Final Fantasy 15, Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Revelations, and the Uncharted series. I'm currently on Uncharted 3. And I usually stream 1 p.m. Pacific until roughly 7 p.m. Pacific most days. Fridays are my longer streams. I tend to go like 9-10 hours on those days. Otherwise, we're all about good vibes. I have my cat. You notice she interrupted the podcast too, but she does that every day. And then I like winter and turtles and snowboarding. So that's me. Then next will be Bog.
Hey everybody! Thanks again to Snowlit for organizing this and having me on. This is always a lot of fun. My name is Richie, aka Bog Otter, variety caster, streaming full time. My typical hours are 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. I do a variety of different games, action adventure RPG, but I also have been streaming PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I've been streaming Prey. I just finished up Little Nightmares, which is really, really cute and devious little game that I just started playing last week, but just finished that up. And this Friday, I've got a subathon coming up that I'm going to be trying to do my longest stream ever, which is going to be 24 hours if we hit cap.
This.
So
Good luck.
yeah, so I felt like crap after my 23-hour one. So this will be great. So thank you so much, and that's it.
Next is Die. We're going to go clockwise.
All right. First of all, Snow, thank you so much for having me on the podcast, and thanks to everybody on the podcast for being here as well. I do apologize again for being late. I do play a lot of retro games, as you guys may know now. I've been doing a lot of PlayStation first-time playthroughs. I recently got a PlayStation in my setup, so I've been playing a lot of PlayStation games, and then I took a little bit of a break. Now I'm playing The Mummy Demastered. It's a Metrovania 2D game on the Switch, PS4, and I think it's on Steam. But and afterwards, then I might go back to playing some more PlayStation games. I usually stream like 6-7 days a week, typically around 7:30 to close to midnight Eastern time. So if you guys like retro games, come on over. Thank you so much for having me.
Sweet. And then last but not least.
Hello, my name's Pistachio. I'm also a variety caster, so I play a lot of different games, a mixture from Nintendo stuff. Currently, I'm still playing through Breath of the Wild, mostly because I'm having any excuse to keep playing that game. I'm enjoying it so much. All the way to stuff like Fallout New Vegas, which we're currently playing on Fridays. I'm quite a Fallout fan, but it's my first time playing New Vegas, so that's been a really great experience so far. Again, a big thank you to Snowy for inviting me to be on this podcast, especially with my awkward English time. Especially because I've just loved so many games in 2017. I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk about it. Really has reinforced a lot of things I love about games, just seeing a lot of companies almost in a way going back to what they're good at, but looking forward to what they can add to it as well. So it's been a really exciting year, and it's really massively reinvigorated what I love about games, and I'm looking forward to continuing that in 2018. So if you want to check out my channel, I am live on the UK evenings, so 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. GMT.
For anybody wondering, that's like 11:30 a.m. Pacific until like 4 hours later or 5 hours later. So
we get the American work lookers.
Yeah, that too, which is good. It works out. I think it works out. So that said, we're not the only members on the Chillest. We have 18 total, ranging from variety to MMOs to creative to speedrunning, etc. So definitely check all of us out on the team, and yeah, definitely you'll definitely find somebody that you enjoy. You know, even if some of us aren't your cup of tea, you'll definitely find somebody. So that said, thank you all for joining me on the show. We had some really good discussions about games last year, games this year, just games in general. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we all tackle this year on our streams and off stream. So you guys are amazing. And thank you all out there for watching, for tuning in, for joining the discussions. And if you missed the show, the VOD will be available both on YouTube and Twitch, and pretty much right after the show. So thank you all for tuning in, and have a wonderful night, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.